We need more white guys doing their insight on things they don't understand. Podwood Forecast. I like feet. I thought you were just like, never just like your favorite smell.
I'm gonna go get my flamethrowers.
I'm so ready. Oh, I'm so super ready to record. Well, let's go. Let's record. Hit the record button.
Please stop.
You're recording. Yeah. Let's go.
Mitchell started doing this, and so
I'm so super ready.
He said he was ready, so
I'm so super ready to record.
I got to turn these levels down, even though I can't really hear them that well.
God, was I peaking?
We're like,
yikes.
Yeah, I gotta say, guys, I apologize for the last couple episodes. The audio quality was not great.
Yeah, I hated it.
But no, it was kind of like I couldn't do anything to.
Were we
fix
clipping
it.
and stuff?
Sorta, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was pretty badly compressed and everything, and it's all because I just decided that day we recorded like 2 episodes, and I decided that day not to have any headphones in.
Oh, true.
So yeah, and even now I'm still struggling to hear a whole lot. I just got these new headphones. Anyways, I'm sorry, guys. We promise that we're a good podcast.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, well, Mitchell, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
How's your day?
It's fine.
Tell me, give me a little summary of your day.
I woke up at 6:15. I stood up and I walked to my bathroom and brushed my teeth. And then I made a bagel and I clocked in.
You made a bagel?
Yeah.
From scratch?
I toasted a bagel.
Okay.
Cinnamon swirl.
Oh.
And then I clocked in to work at 6:30 because I'm working from home right now. And then I worked until 2:25. And then I went and helped my dad move some stuff off of his porch and into their basement. And then I left there and came here. And I grabbed a little personal pizza from a Huck's Godfather's thing so I could eat while I drove like an irresponsible driver because I was hungry. And now I'm here and we're gonna talk about
yes, we're gonna talk about
something
Gorillaz, but first a word from our sponsors. Not really. We got a review.
We got some hate comments and we're gonna rebuttal and talk about them for 2 hours.
Yeah, we're gonna just put the spotlight on all our haters and dox them all and tell everyone to hate on them.
Get your notepads ready. We got some hot social security numbers for you.
No, but we got a review on Apple Podcasts, and we've mentioned this every episode that if a rating and a review really helps us out.
Yeah.
On Apple Podcasts, it helps with the algorithm, helps get our podcast more noticed. So anyone who leaves a review, we will read it on our show.
Yes.
And give you a shout out. So we got one.
Whoa!
Finally.
Oh my gosh!
Our second review. We have 3 ratings, and but we only have 2 written reviews. And this one is, This one is from Nick G 327. I wonder who that could be.
Interesting.
No, without a doubt, this is our good friend Nick Gundy, who supports the show.
He's a lovely soul.
Yes, very lovely soul.
Fellow Last Airbender fanatic.
Yes, for sure.
Which just a quick throwback to the last one. I saw your Instagram of you watching more of the show again.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that you are now hooked.
Well, yeah,
You're
love
on that
it's
Avatar
great.
Juice. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that I watched it, and it's now on Netflix now. So
yeah, convenient timing for us.
The release of our episode was great timing.
Coincidental.
So if you happen to be going through binging Avatar: The Last Airbender, encourage you to go back to our last episode about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of previous episodes, Nick G 327 writes, "Great talks, 5 stars. The discussion about BBC's Robin Hood gave me a spark of interest to give it a watch in the future, thanks to their honest input on some aspects of the show. I never knew how both of them were introduced to Mumford and Sons and better understand why it stuck with Mitch and Clifford. I never call you Mitch. I always call you Mitchell. So
Yeah,
it's
true.
weird. For so many years, along with how it expanded their own music horizons to who they are today.
It's a very good
5
review.
stars.
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I saw him on Twitter. He was like, I can't remember what he was replying to, but someone like mentioned like a show, and he was like, "Oh, once I finish Robin Hood, I'll check that out." And I was like, "Oh, he must be watching Robin Hood."
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, he messaged me personally.
That's
and
cool.
Was like, I'm going to start watching it. Like, cool.
Yay.
So yeah, we also had an episode on BBC's Robin Hood, which was a favorite show of mine growing up. And he also referenced our Mumford and Sons episode. Sorry if it seems like I'm eating almonds because I'm hungry. We had a Mumford and Sons episode, which is still our most listened to episode.
Huh.
So yeah, thanks, Nick. And thanks to everyone who keep listening to this show and keep supporting us. And and the Avatar episode is at 52 plays, which that's
it's pretty.
the best our
epic.
show has done in like a few months. It's our most listened to episode this year.
Dude,
so
we're so famous. Oh my god. So sick.
at 52 plays,
Yeah.
there's so many plays.
I just like start getting really cocky, and I'm like, "Don't look at me, poor person."
Do you know who I am? I'm Mitchell T. Owens
of Podwood Forecast fame.
and Sherwood Forest and Tiger Club.
and old friend Fox.
Old friend Fox, yes, of course.
And
I've been played on the internet radio.
yeah. Some random dude with a show in the UK played me, so I'm famous and international now.
Yeah. Yep. So famous. So yeah, if you guys want to get a shout out on the show, please leave a rating and review. I know you guys are out there. We got some friends out there. So friends, hey, give us support. I mean, it's not like we're asking you for $5 on Twitch or anything.
Yeah.
Like those girls on Twitch, but
Hey, X Samurai 42, thanks for the 500 bits. We got a new subscriber. Hatsune Miku 59, thanks for the sub.
There's those girls that are like shaming people on Twitch for not subbing to them.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, Drew Gooden just made a whole video about
If you can afford food, you can afford to give me $5.
It's just $5. So come on, guys. It's just a review.
That was the
Give
worst
us one.
video I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. I don't think that there's anything. Oh yeah, another thing. So if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, I put episodes out on my YouTube channel. I'm Clifford today, and I've given it a new look on the last episode. So you guys should definitely check it out because it's pretty neat. Just kind of gave it more style, you know.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
It's just a picture of like my nose in hyper detail.
That's what this episode is going to be now.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to be.
That's so disgusting. Look at all those pores. Whoa.
Look at those hairs. He really needs a trim there.
I trimmed my nose hairs yesterday, so I'm good.
Nice. I need to
Broke
trim
the button
more.
off my shirt.
No, don't do that.
Dang it. That's 2 down. All right. Well, just throw it in your drums.
Oh, get out of my house. My apartment. Okay, so we're today, of course, we are talking about the Monkees.
The girls.
Actually, no, that's a totally different
Yeah,
band.
that's
the
actually a
Monkees.
band.
Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Spell with a Z.
For those who don't know, I just I just like shook my head.
In case you haven't heard of super group.
For literally the one
Gorillaz.
person who doesn't know, they are like I guess you could say indie pop, rap, indie rock.
How
They're
can
kinda
you
everything.
really describe them? I like the term trip hop, but
Let's just say alternative.
yeah, alternative. There are elements of hip hop, rock, and pop enveloped, and yeah, and
Started by Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett. Damon Albarn of Blur. You've probably heard stuff by Blur. You know, Yeah, that song.
When I feel heavy metal.
Song 2, Blur is great. I've actually been diving into Blur a lot too, and I love Blur. So many great albums, but
Yeah,
Gorillaz is like so different from them. At least anything after the debut. The debut Gorillaz is pretty similar to some Blur stuff, but I like Damon Albarn's work a lot just overall. I haven't listened to much of his solo stuff, but like The Good, the Bad, and the Queen I think is great. Their last album, Maryland, was like really good. Blur is great.
And for those of you who don't really know and like haven't dived deep into the concept of Gorillaz, Gorillaz is what people call a virtual band.
Yes.
They are all is like 4 band members, all created by Jamie Hewlett. There's like all their music videos are like animated and such. Yeah. They're a fictional band.
Yeah.
But all the music is written and mostly performed by Damon Albarn.
Yeah.
Which he he does the lead vocals and writes all the songs, but it's also, there'll be collaborations as well. So you got 2D, Murdoch, Noodle, and Russ. It's Russ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. I had a brain fart right there. And they're all like cartoon characters, even though there's some music videos of them being in like 3D CGI.
So people will be like, "Oh, I love 2D's vocals," but I mean, obviously they're talking about Damon Albarn, but it's like the aesthetic, it's the thing of the band. It's fun to have like these fictional characters.
It's
like, oh yeah, they're a band, but I mean they're not. But it's just
it's like the modern equivalent of Alvin and the Chipmunks, basically.
Yeah. Kinda.
Except they don't have their own show.
What you mean.
But yeah, because Alvin and the Chipmunks, they also release their own music, but they're a fake group. They're not
it's like
real.
Music by
but
real
there are
people
behind them that creates the music.
Yeah, music obviously by real artists, but just with the front of it's made by this band that obviously doesn't actually exist because it's cartoon.
Yeah,
basically.
But it's also it's really fun, that whole aspect, because there's also some like lore behind it all. There's like an ongoing story with the band, and so that's always interesting to dive deep in, which I don't intend on diving into that with this episode. We're mostly talking about the music and everything.
That's honestly like the thing I pay attention to the least. Like it's interesting, but honestly, like I can listen to a lot of my experience with Gorillaz is just listening. Like obviously I like the music videos and I think that's super fun, but I just like listen to them. A lot of people I've heard the argument of like, well, they probably wouldn't be that interesting if it was just like a Damon Albarn project, and like maybe the appeal wouldn't have gotten people interested, but just as music, even without the context, I still think it's just really good music, even if it was just like
it's great.
A band,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that know Feel Good Inc. without really even knowing who the band is, because that
just like,
song became really popular.
That song that De La Soul is in,
Feel Good.
I think it's De La Soul.
That song, right? Feel Good.
Is De La Soul the one on that song? Yeah, it's De La Soul.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say
the funky Homo sapien. Whatever his name is.
He's
that's on Clint Eastwood.
He's on the debut album a couple times.
Yeah,
Rock the House.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say the whole lore behind it all definitely was something that got me more interested in them, but the music is definitely kind of the main thing.
Yeah, and not to say like I don't care about that aspect of it, because like when I listen to it, I'm picturing these fictional characters. Like I'm picturing that. Yeah,
and you get invested into it.
Yeah, and it helps with like the feel and the aesthetic, and you just kind of get into that headspace. But I just like to acknowledge like, hey, this would be really good even without that. Still, just really good tracks. But
I like that. The aesthetic is kind of has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's very heavy on presentation is very important. Like they're always releasing artwork, and music videos are a thing you get really excited for and whatnot, and all that. So yeah, it's just a really unique concept that I don't think has been done like.
Not to that extent.
Yeah, it's been kind of done like by other people, but never like to a successful degree. Yeah, I feel like Gorillaz is like, you could say they are like mainstream popularity essentially, or at least they used to be. Maybe not so much.
They're definitely not as popular as they used to be.
But it's
they
still
were
one of
more in
those
the spotlight back in the day.
Yeah,
but that's because like the music has the mainstream music has changed a whole lot.
Yeah,
and
but like
hasn't
everyone
been kind
knows.
to Gorillaz.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
they're still very popular and got a huge following.
I did hear one of their new songs on the radio the other day, actually.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, cool. Like, it was super.
Just like on regular
Yeah.
radio?
Yeah, it was really
It was like
surprising.
top 40 radio?
It was trying to think what station it was. Maybe it wasn't top 40. It was
Maybe alternative radio?
it was 103.3. But they play like top 40 stuff.
Yeah.
But it came on like right after some like Doja Cat song or something.
Interesting.
So I was like, oh, cool.
What song was it?
It was the first single, Momentary Bliss.
Oh, nice.
Which we'll get into those later.
Yes.
But we're just kind of going to go from the start. But yeah, I love Gorillaz. I would consider them one of my favorite bands. I think their music is super cool. Obviously, there's lows and highs, but I love their music and their style and aesthetic and just such an interesting mix of sounds. I really have an affinity for bands and artists that mix genres successfully. And I like that I can't really pinpoint like a specific genre besides alternative with Gorillaz because they've done rock, they've done punk, rap, synth pop, just blah blah blah. All
and
these genres.
they still make it their own.
Yeah,
and they've developed a unique style that is hard to replicate.
Yeah,
I don't really know many artists that. Like, there are certain songs where I can be like, oh, this song kind of has like these elements from this artist or whatever.
Yeah.
But overall, you can't really list any bands that are like that sound like Gorillaz.
It's
really.
true, yeah. And like if I do hear something similar, I always am like, oh, they must like Gorillaz. Like I always assume like people are inspired from them rather than them, which they have their inspirations, of course, but they just seem very like, I guess what's the word, influential, on people. And you just, like, especially with production and instrumentation, it's such a specific style. When I hear it, I know that. So that's, which we'll get into it later, but maybe with some of like their later stuff, it's like kind of why I wasn't into some stuff, because production wise and stuff, it just didn't. Something about the feel of it just didn't feel Gorillaz, and it's like they have a very specific thing about their music where you just hear it and you're like, yeah, that's Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Because of the production choices and the weird mix of things and stuff, and just really creative. And yeah, I really love, even when they make stuff I may not love, I like that they're always trying something. You know? And that's what I appreciate, because when a new song or album comes out, you don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
That's what's exciting. Like, especially with the new singles, like every single's been different. It's like, oh, this one's this. What's the next one going to be like? And that's the exciting thing right now. Is it's like, oh, what's the next song going to sound like? It's not just, all right, another rock song, which I love rock albums. So it's not me dissing rock albums. My favorite albums of all time are rock albums, but it's nice to have something that's
you're
like
in a rock band.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's nice to have something that's unpredictable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can definitely say that Gorillaz is a musical project that means a lot to the both of us.
Yeah,
we definitely bonded over Gorillaz, like in the early days of our friendship, which I was actually just getting into them at the time. Yeah.
I had always kind of been into them. I loved their debut ever since since it came out, basically, because I remember my friend Nick had it, and he had the CD, and I remember seeing the album art of like these cartoon characters, and I was like, what's this? I just thought it was like some like weird, I didn't know if it was from a show or something. And I'd never really seen like a band have like characters for a thing. Yeah. So it instantly drew me to that, and that was the point of it. So it worked. But I listened to it and I was like, this is cool. And I liked that album. And obviously I knew Feel Good Inc. and like Rock the House was one I listened to a lot back in the day. But I loved that record. And then, Demon Days and stuff started coming out. I was like, oh, it's that one band. And like, I didn't really like listen to them a ton through like until maybe a bit after Plastic Beach came out, and then I went and revisited, and that's when I kind of really got into them, was probably like early high school when I was like 15. Yeah. But I always knew about them since their first album because of my friend who had the debut CD.
See, I didn't really get into them until like after high school, but I remember seeing them like around, like seeing their album covers and the cartoon characters, because they're just like iconic at this point. And I think the first time I ever really heard them was in this movie called Alex Rider Stormbreaker. Is this like young adult teenager British spy movie?
Oh, I think you mentioned this once.
Yeah, and they had Feel Good Inc. play during one of the scenes.
I think I've actually seen that clip on YouTube of that.
Probably. It was like during a training sequence or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I have seen that.
Yeah, it was an interesting movie. I haven't seen it in ages, but yeah, that was like my first introduction to them, and then I started watching like all their music videos and such. So, yeah, let's get into. So we're gonna go into them like previous episodes. Try to go into like album by album.
Yeah, we'll just go in order. Just talk about like. We'll just go in order chronologically.
I say let's just focus on their main releases, I guess.
Yeah, like we don't need to worry about the Leica Come Home album, like the collab thing.
Yeah, and we don't even
just
really...
like their main phases. I do want to touch on D-sides a little bit.
We can touch on D-sides. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it personally, but
I don't either. But I do want to bring it up because I have things to say.
Yeah.
Good things.
I have things to say.
I love it. I probably like it to a controversial degree, honestly. But we'll get to that.
I like it too much.
Yeah, probably, honestly.
All right, let's talk about ST, self-titled.
Self-titled?
Gorillaz.
Gorillaz by Gorillaz.
Yeah.
So this was... I still have trouble ranking like which album is my favorite. For the longest time, I said their self-titled was my favorite just because that was the one I was familiar with for so much of my life and it's nostalgic and stuff. But honestly, don't know. I'm not really going to focus on trying to rank the albums in this episode because I know in like a month I'll look back.
Well,
and
I
be
definitely
like,
have my favorite.
Yeah,
so.
I have trouble deciding which one's my favorite.
Yeah,
like to a point where a week later I'll hear this and be like, nah, I don't really agree anymore. So I'm not really going to focus on which one's my favorite. But for the longest time, I did consider self-titled my favorite.
Yeah, which granted, I mean, it's got some amazing, fantastic songs.
Yeah, I just really like. This is going to sound purist, but I really love Gorillaz with a lot of organic instrumentation, and the self-titled was really focused on like guitars and drums and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not like my favorite thing, but I still love when they do that because there was like a while where they didn't have any of that at all, and I was like, I like a blend of both, like Plastic Beach and Demon Days.
Yeah, that's something
where it's like a perfect blend of.
That's something that
everything.
They're so good at.
It's like one song has a drum machine, one song uses a real drum kit. Like,
yeah, it's like a perfect implementation of not authentic, but like organic instruments.
Yeah,
and you know, like pop, like synth and drum machines and all that. And it's something that is kind of, I feel like is kind of lost today with like popular music. It's just like not everything has to be electronic.
Yeah.
You can have both.
Which
I know it's a product of its time,
yeah.
you know, but in terms of, because not everything was electronic back then.
Yeah.
Some people were still using organic instrumentation.
I just love like real drums and drummers and stuff, but there's some of my favorite songs by them like don't use like real drums. So it's not like I only want real, but I like when there's a balance of both. And I have kind of gotten to the point where I don't think the first one is my favorite for sure, just because I still love it. But there are a couple songs where I'm like, I could like probably skip, or maybe I love it, but maybe it goes on a bit too long. But it's not as versatile, or you know, it doesn't change itself up. It's pretty like a similar sound throughout the album. Not for the whole album, of course, because that was actually a complaint people had with it when it came out, was they heard Clint Eastwood and Rock the House. I think those were the singles or something.
Yeah.
And then the album came out and they were like, what's this indie rock crap? And we just want the Clint Eastwood type stuff. So that it kind of was like a complaint where people are like, "Oh, this is too different." But listening to it in context now, having all their other albums, it is like a pretty similar style throughout the album.
Yeah.
But
there are those tracks that get pretty experimental, and I can't say that all those are my favorite. It really depends.
Yeah, like Latin Simone is great, but it's not one I ever like listen to. Really, I still like it a lot though. M1A1 I like a lot, but I hate how long the intro is. Like I skip.
It's very anxiety inducing.
Yeah,
too.
it's like cool, like listening through it. But I love the rest of the song. But when I get to it, if I just want to listen to it, I just skip the intro like most of the time.
Yeah.
And like double bass is cool, but it's just like an instrumental, and I'm usually not crazy for just like instrumentals. So.
That is one of my more favorites out of the more like instrumental.
It's my
ones.
favorite instrumental track from Gorillaz.
That's the one that's like yeah. I like
cool.
I like how the bass is. It's like almost kind of out of tune.
You can hear it like rattling and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's sloppy in like an intentional way. There's really not like any song on this album I dislike though. Like I really love it, and I think that's why I still like struggle to think like, is it my favorite? I don't know, and that's why I don't really worry about it.
I think there are songs like Starshine and Dracula that I'm not necessarily a fan of.
I actually really like Starshine, but I get why people don't, because his voice is really grainy and like on it. But I like Starshine a lot. But
Soundcheck Gravity is great.
Soundcheck is great. Man Research in parentheses Clapper is like pretty cool, but it's not one I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm thinking of New Genius. But yeah, there's like a couple where I'm like, these are good. Maybe it drags on a bit, but almost every song on this record I really like. There's not one I would say I dislike. I just really don't like the drawn out intro of M1A1 because it's hello like 20 times, and I'm like, I get it.
It's still kind of interesting though.
It is cool.
You got that like going on in the background.
I do like that aspect. I think it's just the hello, like it gets really repetitive. He screams it like 20 times, but other than that, I like the music behind it and whatnot. But I'm not a very patient listener. Sometimes I'm just like, I want to hear the song.
Yeah. By the way, me and Mitchell and I totally don't have our Spotify's open.
Yeah.
I'm like looking through all the tracks.
Yeah, I like have to remember some of the song names sometimes because I'm a fake fan.
Yeah, but I'm not ashamed to say I think I'm usually more of like the big hits kind of a guy. Like I do appreciate a lot of the other stuff and I respect it. It's just I have to be in a certain mood sometimes, but like I definitely love like Clint Eastwood, I think is amazing.
Yeah. And
I love the vibes of songs like Tomorrow Comes Today.
Yeah, that's an amazing one. I covered that a few years ago. It's one of my favorites.
I like the grooviness, but also like the somberness of it. And there's another song, I forget which one it is.
I love the drum beat on it.
I might be thinking about Gravity, but they're just kind of groovy, but like kind of sad too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about this album. It's like it's somber, but without being boring.
Yeah,
you know, it's a very specific mood of a record. And 5-4 is like top 5 Gorillaz songs for me.
Oh yes,
easily. Like, I love that song.
My job for me, my job make no sound. Echo for me underground.
5-4. The song actually isn't really in 5-4.
It's
the
like you
guitar
can,
part.
Yeah,
is,
the guitar. If
but
you're
the
like
drums are consistent, like boom, cat,
Yeah.
boom, cat.
It's really cool because like if you're counting the time at the beginning, you can be like, oh, it isn't 5/4, but then
Yeah.
the drums come in, you're like, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I love when they don't do it a lot, but I like when Gorillaz does weird time signature stuff.
Yeah, it's like the guitar, the instrumentation is on its own, time signature.
Yeah.
While the actual song is in 4/4.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. It's so cool, and the song is just like super catchy and memorable, and the guitar part.
Turn my dad on.
Yeah, it's just so good. And there's a fan animation for it recently.
Oh yeah, it
based off the
just
storyboards.
came out.
Yeah, it's really good.
So there was supposed to be an official music video for it. They never finished it, but they did release a video with like the storyboarding. So some fans got together recently and like based the whole video off of the storyboard.
Yeah.
And basically made it as if like it was made
Yeah,
back
it looks
in
official.
2001.
It looks like it would have come out during that time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll mention for this album is obviously 2000 is a classic.
Yeah. That's
such a catchy like melody.
Here you go, get the cool, shoe shine. Get the cool shoe shine.
Get the cool.
Boom.
Get the
Boom,
cool
boom,
shoe
boom.
shine.
That might have been the first song I heard from them actually.
Yeah.
Because I think my friend showed me that music video, and because that boom, ba-dum, bum, bum, like that was so off key. I don't care, but that melody is like that melody is like stupidly nostalgic for me every time I hear it.
Yeah.
So I just go back to like hanging out with my friend and listening to it for the first time.
Is it safe to assume that because on 5/4 I can hear some female vocals on there, and just on this album, anytime I hear it, I always assume that it's Noodle.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
because it kind of sounds like a younger girl in a way, and she was supposed to be like a younger character at the time too. So
yeah,
especially 2000, like has that like kind of childish sound.
Well, in the video, it is her singing. So
yeah,
just kind of like how in
I always assume that too. Yeah,
just how in Dare, like because of the music video, it's supposed to be her.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that every female vocalist has to be Noodle. But.
And one other thing I want to say about this album is Del the Funky Homo Sapien is my favorite rapper, and it's because of this album. But I love a lot of his solo stuff, and even like his last record that came out like a year ago or something. I just love his voice is so perfect for Gorillaz. Yeah. Like so perfect. And whenever I hear him, like he is like the rapper for Gorillaz in my opinion. And there's a lot.
They need to bring him back.
I really want to hear him on another track. And I love a lot of the other guests they've had, like MF Doom on November Has Come, and they've had so many great rappers featured on their music, and some of those are like my favorite songs. But he kind of set the standard, basically, because he was like the first one. He just fit their style so perfectly, and whenever I think of like, he just felt like a member, like he was that animated ghost character person.
I mean, because like he's like the main focus of Clint Eastwood, which is one of their biggest songs ever. And
he just like basically was just him like for Rock the House too. Yeah.
Remember what the thought is. I brought all this so you can survive when law is lawless. Feeling sensations that you thought was dead. No squealing. Remember that it's all in your head.
I ain't happy. I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless. Not for long. The future is coming on.
So I love him. He exudes Gorillaz energy with his voice. For like, I just think of Gorillaz every time I hear him.
Yeah. So that's self-titled. Great album. I enjoy it. It's not all the way consistent for me, but it set something in motion, and I really enjoy that. Stop playing the song. I'll edit it in if I want to play it.
I went to their albums, and for some reason, Feel Gooding started playing.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next album right after we got to take a break. So sit tight and just listen to a few commercials, okay? It won't hurt you. So just chill, all right? Gosh.
Get over it.
I like how I'm starting an argument that
Just
isn't
hit
real.
the fast forward button a few times.
Okay, bye.
Blackbird sing dead all night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. In your eyes, you were only waiting for the moment to rise.
It's not recording. All right, it's recording.
Recording now.
Welcome back.
Sorry, the struggle was real for a second. Man. All right, so the year is 2005, 4 years after Self-Titled was released. We get Demon Days, and
Everyone hates it. And then Gorillaz.
yeah,
breaks
it's a pretty infamous album. No one likes it.
yeah, it's their worst.
No, I actually this is my favorite album. from
Yeah,
them.
I've been really debating on if I like this or Plastic Beach more, and I honestly can't
Plastic
really
Beach
decide.
comes really close.
Yeah.
There's just some tracks in Plastic Beach that I just don't really like, honestly.
Yeah, and there's like a couple songs on both that I'm like, I don't dislike any, but I don't know. It's
There are
probably
like one or two songs on here that I could do without, but I don't hate them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I love all the other songs. On
That's
this
how I
album.
feel. Whereas like a couple songs where I'm like, this is like pretty good, but I love everything else. And then I think Plastic Beach has like higher highs, but maybe like a little bit lower lows. So it kind of it's
Yeah.
like that's why I like can't rank them because I'm just like I can't decide because they're all just great. But yeah, Demon Days is like fantastic. I could probably safely just say it's my favorite. But
It's so good. I
Yeah.
love the production of it. I like how Self-Titled is kind of quirky and crazy with its instrumentation,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like Demon Days has like the more consistent production quality.
It's like the epitome of Gorillaz' sound. Like it blends everything that made Gorillaz.
For a lot of people, like this is the quintessential Gorillaz album,
Yeah.
and I think with great merit. And I agree with them, honestly.
Yeah, like when I listen to this and Plastic Beach, those are like the two albums where I'm like, this is Gorillaz. Like
Yeah.
this is what Gorillaz sounds like.
Yeah, and a lot of it having to do with the popularity of Feel Good Inc.,
Yeah.
which was the leading single off that album. I know it's like overplayed and it's like the song that
It's still
everyone
good,
knows.
yeah.
Yeah, I listened to it. I'm like, this is fantastic.
It's still really good, and it was popular for a reason. Anyone who like says it's bad just because it was popular,
They're
are-
just
are
haters.
just hipsters, and they don't want to like things that are popular. 'Cause
Yeah.
They want to feel cool and be like, oh, White Light is so underrated. You know.
Well, White Light is great. I love Feel Good Inc. because it's kind of, even though I said before, like this album is consistent with its production and such, I love wow.
Oh my gosh.
I like had a stroke there. I love the diversity of it, and yet it all sounds like so cohesive because like you go from like this, like one of the most iconic bass lines ever, and like this hard rap verses, and then it like switches to like this acoustic guitar kind of
it's
melody.
It's not my favorite Gorillaz song, but it's the Gorillaz song. Like it has everything in it that kind of identifies Gorillaz. It has 2D's like kind of style. It has
that talk
acoustic,
singing.
It has the acoustic
down,
guitar kind of like
back.
refrain, and then it has the rapper has De La Soul featuring, and just the mix of styles. It's everything that makes Gorillaz like Gorillaz in one song.
Yeah.
I feel like.
You can't hate the song. I don't know who can.
I worded all of that really poorly, but you know what I mean.
It's okay. You're forgiven. But I don't know. I don't know if Feel Good Inc. is my favorite, but it's definitely top 5.
I don't even know if it's top 5 for me. I really love it, obviously. It's not. I wouldn't say it was like. I probably wouldn't even put it in like my top 10 songs from them, but I still love it. But that's because they have so many songs I like love.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, even without Feel Good Inc., there's so many great songs in here. El Mañana is great. I love it's. I mean, it's not like a bop or anything.
It's the perfect follow-up to a song like Feel Good Inc. because it comes right after.
Yeah. Yeah, chronologically,
it's very
with the music video.
Moody
and then Noodle almost dies.
Saw that day, lost my mind, Lord, I'm fine.
But yeah, it's I love the atmosphere of it, and I love Last Living Souls, Kids with Guns.
Yeah, Kids with Guns is probably one of my favorites.
Dare. Dare is one of my all-time favorite songs.
I like Dare a lot, but I don't. Why is it?
Stop it!
It's just like playing stuff randomly. Dare I really love, but I honestly like the D-Sides version more, which is People.
People, everybody, people. Making a sound. People, everybody.
Like the alternate version.
I like People, but I
don't know why I don't love.
It's missing
Dare.
the melody that I love of Dare.
Yeah,
and People's just kind of like people.
Yeah, I don't know why I like that more. It's a
people.
very controversial opinion to have because Dare is one of their most popular songs.
I don't know if I want to continue this podcast with you.
I mean, I still love it, obviously. I don't think there's anything about it that's mediocre, but it's just not one I ever like throw on.
It's just so fun and strange at the same time.
You've got to press it on you. You just think it, that's what you do, baby. Hold it down, yeah.
And a fun fact for you guys, I forget the name of the guy who is doing the never did know how, never. I don't remember his name off the top of my
Sean Ryder.
head. Wow, I can't talk. But the original title for this song and the original lyrics for it was "It's There."
Yeah.
But I don't remember where he's from, but his accent made it so that it sounded like he was saying "dare."
Yeah.
And so like
It's Dare. And he's
so
supposed to say
they
Dare.
changed the song
They just
title
called it Dare.
to Dare, which is why like I think it's
so
so
funny
funny
to me.
when you watch. There's like a live version of it of the same guy singing it, and it sounds even worse because I think it's because he's trying to say dare.
Because now he's saying Dare.
This dare.
Yeah, so, oh man, those live performances are so bad. When he's on stage with the female vocalist that did the song, and she's just like, oh, what am I doing with this guy? It's like, it is Dare. It's like,
And he's got a sucker in his mouth too.
yeah, he's so weird.
I think he has a sucker in his mouth, doesn't he?
I like don't. That guy is so weird because I still to this day haven't seen him in anything else but that song.
Yeah. It's so
like,
funny.
Where did he come from? But that's why I like about Gorillaz. They feature like artists that you don't really know about.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool, and they integrate them really well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know that dude, horrible live performance, but they made him work so well for that song.
Yeah.
Like, perfect.
They literally changed the song.
Perfect for that song.
Yeah. And I love Dare, and I'm a huge, like, Noodle stan, so it probably has a big reason to do with it, but Noodle is the guitarist and the singer of this song, which the lore says that she, like, so People was the original, and, like, according to lore, she deleted the original, like, vocals and recorded over it.
Yeah, which is really
so
funny.
funny.
I like that that's another fun aspect of the band is, like, maybe just in real life they're like, oh, let's do a different version, and then they'll have a B-side and be like, oh, well, the characters did this and then someone changed it and blah blah blah. So it's kind of funny. I like that.
Another one of my favorites, which I don't remember really loving at first, but November Has Come is great.
Slow it down some, no split, clown bum. Your gold hit sound dumb, hold it now, crown them. Where you found them at, got them round town. Could've drowned in it, would've floated, bloated, voted, sugar coated, loaded, hip shooter. Draw for the poor, free coffee at the banks. Hit through the straw, none more for me, thanks. That blanks the roar, that dank sure stank lit.
That's I don't know if this is a hot take, but November Has Come is actually my favorite Gorillaz song.
Oh, okay.
Just overall.
That's your number one.
I don't really know why. It's one of their most simple songs, but there's something about it that I love. I really like MF Doom, first of all. I think his flow and the way he makes words meld together on that song are just like
I'd say
crazy.
It's probably one of my favorite, like, raps.
Yeah. Besides from
Dell,
MF Doom is like my favorite.
Well, the thing about Dell is, like, I love it, but I love his like Clint Eastwood and Rock the House.
But there's better songs.
It feels kind of like old school.
Yeah,
hip-hop.
totally.
And MF Doom's take on November Has Come feels a little bit more modern.
And Dell's new stuff is still pretty old school sounding, so this is how he is for sure. But November Has Come is so good. I love the little guitar lick in it, the drum beat. It's such a simply made song, but I just love it. And obviously the verses by 2D on those are so good too. It's just, aside from Feel Good Inc., that's kind of like most Gorillaz-like Gorillaz song. Like, it blends everything I love about Gorillaz, but it's a more, like, toned down version. Like, it's more chill, but it's still, like, hype at the same time.
Right, yeah.
I love it. It's one of the songs I always turn on if I'm thinking of Gorillaz.
Where did it go? Why you want it to be where you know November has come? When it's gone away. Something started today.
Yeah. Another favorite of mine is Every Planet We Reach Is Dead.
That's probably in my top 5 or 10 too.
Yeah,
that's the thing about this album is a lot of, like, my top 10 songs probably come from this album. Top 15, like,
so
a lot of my
favorite album.
Probably. I mean, but then there's, like, favorites. But then there's other favorites that I like a lot more than those favorites from, like, Plastic Beach or something. So it all balances out. But I would probably say, I wouldn't be, if I'm not going to try and do this right now, but I would guess that at least 20% of, like, my top 10, 15, whatever list would be from this album.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Mitchell loves his lists.
I do. I hate it. But
his top 10s. You should work with Watch Mojo.
God, no.
He'd make the best lists.
Those are insulting to my list. My list
but Every Planet We Reach Is Dead, I feel like it's like a unique track on this album.
So good.
Because it's very, like, kind of bluesy, sort of, with its groove.
It's like a rock song, but it's
like bow down, bow down, bow down.
It's
and
like
then it builds up as it goes on.
Yeah, the guitar in that song, I think they're using a wah pedal or something, is super cool, and I absolutely excuse me, I absolutely adore like the instrumentation, like the breakdown near the end when the piano comes in.
Yeah, I love the piano.
And it's just like, and it goes on for a long time, but I like it.
It's
One of
great.
those
It's a great
examples.
climax.
Yeah, it's like
And
going
you know I'm a
crazy
sucker for
on the
those
piano.
climactic songs. Those songs that just kind of like build up into the end.
And then it kind of fades back down again. It's just a nicely weird, structured song. And
Yeah.
I love the title too. It's just a cool title for a song, and that's one of my favorites easily. That song is perfect.
Yeah, another one of my favorites. I mean, it's one of the more popular ones, but Dirty Harry.
Yeah, Dirty Harry is really good.
Dirty Harry is great. I love the uniqueness of the synths that are used in it. And I mean, lyrically, it's a simple song until the rap solo comes in, which that also is one of my favorite rap solos.
And the
songs.
kids' choir is really cool.
Yeah, it's just it's so cool,
Yeah.
and I love kids choirs in songs.
Yeah,
they sometimes add a sort of like creepy element to it.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just a great song. I'll tell you the two songs that I kind of have problems with are...
yeah, I'm curious if I'm going to agree with you, because I have a couple songs I'm like not crazy for.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Oh Green World, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, but at the same time, whenever I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I love a lot about this song.
Yeah,
but
it has some good elements, but I think my biggest problem is some of the sounds that are used.
The what?
Yeah,
I was gonna bring that up because you know, like old video games, like Banjo-Kazooie or something, when characters talk and they're like, what? That always makes me think of that.
Yeah.
Always. So every time I'm listening to that song, I'm like thinking of a video game character talking, like from a platform.
I can see that.
I always think of that.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, from the first time I heard that song, I've always been like, that sounds like a Banjo-Kazooie person talking or something.
See, now I'm not going to
like,
be able to unhear it.
It's like, I don't know.
And it's the like violin part. It's like...
Yeah.
But I love like when the guitar comes in, it's like
I just don't like those like connecting instrumentals a ton.
Yeah.
It probably
it's kind of
it's weird. It's weird because I like the weird like like another thing I would compare it to is like I'm picturing someone like cleaning a window or something. Like I think the sound is cool. I never really liked how upfront it was in the mix, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just because I'm like, I like this sound. Okay, stop. Like I get like it's there a little too much. Yeah, it's just used a little too much for me.
And the other song is I'm so conflicted with this song is All Alone.
All alone. All alone.
Yeah, that one's like pretty okay too. I don't love it. I like it, but
I think really the only thing that turns me off about it, and the thing is that it's like so consistent throughout the song, is the parts where it's like it has those like high pitched vocals doing the all alone.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of annoying.
It's a very repetitive song.
Yeah. And I don't mind most of it. It's just that one little... I know it's just a personal preference, but it's just that one little thing that kind of turns me off. But I love how the song progresses.
Yeah.
And that one chick starts singing.
Close your eyes and see when there ain't no light. Oh, you'll ever be. Come and save the night. 'Cause I don't leave. When the morning comes, it doesn't seem to say enough to me.
Yeah, and the rap verse is fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm really conflicted about that song. I really have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah, like that's the thing about the songs I don't love that much. Like even like with Old Green World and this, like I'll still, if I'm listening to the album, I'm not really gonna skip them. But
It
if
depends.
I want to listen to specific songs, I'm probably not going to pick those. But if
Yeah.
the album is just on and I'm listening to it, I'm not going to be like, gotta skip that one. So
Yeah. So I mean, that's basically my only issues, my only plays issues. And I love how the album closes out. I feel like "Don't Get Lost in Heaven" and "Demon Days" are like
it's one song.
together.
It's basically one song.
Yeah, they're
And
both the closers of it.
It's the best closer for any of their albums too, I will say.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love choirs.
Yes.
So I absolutely love those last two songs. But I consider them like one song, just separated, so I have to listen to both whenever I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a really, really good album overall.
And also, I wouldn't want to forget "Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head."
Yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, I'm not like involved in Gorillaz communities, but I feel like people don't really talk about that song enough. I think it's
because it's
one of
almost like it's not a song because like the verses are literally
spoken
just
word.
Yeah, it's a
just a
spoken word.
story.
Once upon a time, at the foot of a great mountain, there was a town where the people known as happy folk lived. Their very existence a mystery to the rest of the
Who
world.
was it doing the?
I can't remember. Is it? I was about to say like.
Here they played out
I gotta look it up real quick.
But it's basically this whole like kind of like fantasy story, fairy tale, and the choruses are like it's like a really cool like folk song kind of sorta.
Yeah, I like the part with the guitar where he's singing and it like kind of cuts out.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Falling out of aeroplanes and hiding out in holes, waiting for the sunset to come, people going home. Jump out from behind them and shoot them in the head. Now everybody dancing the dance of the dead, the dance of the dead, the dance of the dead.
And I love the story and like the visuals I get from the story that the narrator is telling. It is oh yeah, I was gonna say Dennis Hopper, and I was right.
Oh,
But I didn't, and I
Okay.
should have just said it because then it would have sounded smart. But I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Dennis Hopper. But yeah,
makes sense.
it's Dennis Hopper. I love that song. I love the instrumental on this song. The like that
Yeah.
weird bass. It's such a good beat, and the way he's talking is almost on rhythm with it. So sometimes I will just throw it on like a song. Like
Yeah.
it is a song I can just listen to. Even though it's just a guy talking over music, I still really love it because I love the instrumentation
Yeah.
so much.
yeah, like
So-
what's going on behind him is really cool. I love the synth work
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. It's just it's really, really good. I love it. It's probably one of my favorites on the album too. I think it's like an underappreciated song in a way.
Yeah, same. But it's all on a very revered album, and I mean, Demon Days is honestly one of my top favorite albums of all time.
Yeah,
Most likely top 10, I'm pretty sure. I just love it so much. It's the quintessential Gorillaz album for me. It's so masterfully produced.
Yeah.
I don't know if Damon Albarn produced it himself.
I'm pretty sure
But-
I'm sure he had help, but he pretty much produces most of Gorillaz himself. So
But it's just much more contained, I feel like, and I like that. So yeah, a lot of great songs on here that I really love, and yeah, so
just it's a
Demon
classic.
Days.
It's considered a classic at this point, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy. It's 15 years old.
That's crazy.
Jeez, man, freaking weird.
2005, I feel like was a really good year for music, for
Yeah.
a lot of music that I liked.
Just like early 2000s, like 2005, 6 previous, like 90s and stuff is like
Yeah.
probably my favorite period of music, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite albums and stuff come from that era, or favorite artists at least started in that era. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk a little bit about D-sides.
Yeah, I want to talk about D-sides real quick because I feel like no one really talks about D-sides. I love D-sides. There was actually a period where I said I liked D-sides more than Demon Days, but that's because I was listening to it a lot, and I listened to both back to back recently, and I like Demon Days more now, obviously, but as like a B-side, like haha D-side, funny name, but it could work as like its own album if it wasn't B-sides and I was just listening through it and it had like a different title. I would just think it was another album from them. Like I really love the style of this album too. It's so different from Demon Days too, which is weird. A lot of the songs, it feels like they constructed all the B-sides to be its own thing.
Well,
like
sometimes that's the point of B-sides.
Yeah, like they didn't fit in, but it's weird how all the songs together ended up fitting with each other outside of this album. So it almost seemed like intentional, but it wasn't, obviously, because they were just songs that were included.
I feel like that there are a lot of songs on here that could have fit on Demon Days.
Yeah, like
I think Spitting Out the Demons could have fit in because it almost has that like Kids
That's
with
my
Guns
favorite. That's in my
sound.
Yeah, I agree. That's in my top 10 songs from them. I love Spitting Out the Demons. It's very simple. It's just, but there's an aspect to it that I love because I can just so perfectly like have fun and picture the band playing the song in my mind because it is just guitar, bass, drums, synth, and then singing. So you can just it sounds like a little jam session with the band. Like they're just it sounds like they're just improvising, having fun, and I can just like picture that. And I love the bass tone and it's just such a simple. I notice I like a lot of their simple stuff when it's done well because I don't know. It's a really, really good song, and I really love People. Rocket, Bill Murray is really cool and weird. The Swagga is actually really cool too. I've grown to love that one. Highway Under Construction has such a charming instrumentation. 68 it's an instrumental, but it's a really good instrumental. It has like a weird. It makes me think of like an old video game for some reason. I don't know, like a skating game. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We Are Happy Landfill is probably another one of my favorite Gorillaz songs in general. It has the weird like train whistle sound and has such a fun beat.
Oh yeah. Really
weird vocals, like scratchy, like. But yeah, I really love this album a lot. There's some like, Hong Kongington, Hong Kong, Murdoch is God. Those are all like fine. Stop the Dams is pretty good. So I don't like love everything on it, but the songs that I love from this album are some of my favorites. Yeah. So I really like it. I think it's a really unique style, and I think it stands on its own. In my opinion, if I could make this like its own phase, I would. But obviously that's not the case but just in my mind, I see it as an album from them, not just like a B-sides. Yeah. And I mean, it is a B-sides. Probably technically it's not produced as well as Demon Days or anything.
Yeah, see, that's
and it doesn't have like any iconic songs from them.
Yeah.
The big hit from this album, I think, was Rocket.
It was like the only one that had a music video.
Yeah. But I don't know, there's something about it that's just so strange and weird from their other stuff, but still feels very much like them.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You mentioned the production. I feel like there's a lot of these songs just kind of feel unfinished.
Yeah,
like
it
not
has a
100%.
very like strong DIY vibe to it, and that's kind of the charm of it for me. Is I kind of like that it just feels a little different, and it's not as well produced, but it's
probably because a lot of these are just like demos that they never really completely mastered or anything.
Yeah, like the demo version of Don't Get Lost in Heaven is like a weird folky song, and it's way different and weird, but it's just very bizarre. It's a very bizarre sounding album compared to Demon Days, and I think that's why I like it, because it's so different, and they bothered to kind of give it its own aesthetic and make like, they're like, oh, we have enough stuff, let's just make another album out of it. And I think that's cool, so I really love it. It's probably
some good jams on there.
There are like some people I have seen, like this small sect of the Gorillaz community online, where they're like, yeah, this is my favorite album from them, actually. So I'm not alone in like loving it that much, but it's not like a popular opinion. But at this point, I don't like it as much as Plastic Beach and Demon Days because it's not as consistent, but it still has some of my favorite songs from them. So
yeah, well, okay. I didn't know how to
I was like,
conclude
ooh.
that.
I like it.
But okay, so Plastic Beach.
All right.
So, 5 years after Demon Days, and this is something that I kind of miss about Gorillaz, is just the hype, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like Rockstar and GTA. Like, you
Yeah,
don't-
like they'd go away for a few years and they come back and it's like, they're back!
Yeah.
So-
Kind of lost that now, but I'm glad.
Thanks, humans.
We'll get back.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I'm glad that with the music, I'm happy with the music they're making now, and I feel like they're making up for their mistakes. But stay tuned for those opinions.
Yeah.
But Plastic Beach is also a fantastic album.
This every time I listen to it, I'm like, it's my favorite. But then I listen to Demon Days, I'm like, no, I don't know.
I think there are a lot of songs that are like, there are a lot of songs on here that are like up to par with Demon Days songs. Yeah. It's just, for me, I feel like this album has just a few more skippables on here.
It has lower lows, not even that many though, but it has higher high. And like November Has Come is my favorite, but all my favorites from this one I probably like more than my favorites from Demon Days.
Yeah.
So again, it's the whole balancing act. But this album has some of their most like creative choices. Like I think this, for any of the Gorillaz albums, it's their coolest intro to an album.
Oh yeah.
Like I love like the orchestra intro, and then it has the thing with like Snoop Dogg, and then it goes into White Flag, and White Flag is so good.
White Flag is really
I feel
good.
like White Flag is very underappreciated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that a lot,
shit.
but so I don't hear people like gush about White Flag that much, but it's so cool.
I love the
One of
intro
their-
for it.
Yeah, the cool like I love the implementation of an orchestra on this album.
Look, yo, no castaway, no survivor. I ain't lost and this ain't shipwrecked. I feel small in this big wide world, and mommy ain't said, honey, I shrunk the kids yet. I ain't Jesus, but I'm walking on water.
And
There's no bombs.
it's a concept album too. Like I love the theme of like, you know, electronics, and that's why the style of this album is like that. But then there's occasional blends of real organic instrumentation to go with like the theme of the songs. And
Yeah, in terms of like,
it's very intentional with every sound it uses.
yeah, with the poppiness of this album is not bothersome in the least.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
And I know, like, according to the lore, the big reason why it's so poppy is because like Russ and Noodle technically aren't even present on this album
because they're like lost at sea or something. I don't really remember.
And yeah, Russ is a huge giant. Or whatever.
Such
You'll just have to
It was
read
a
it.
really weird phase for like lore stuff.
Yeah.
Like it got really bizarre.
Look it up on their wiki fans page, whatever. But even with like the absence of like real drums or guitar, is there even any?
No, there
guitar?
is. There's also real drums on occasion. But there are hints of guitar, like on Rhinestone Eyes, there's an acoustic guitar in the background the whole time. It's subtle, but it's there. And there's some other songs that have electric, and there's like bass. So there's still like a great blend of organic instrumentation in there, but it's not up front.
Yeah, and it doesn't suffer at all.
Yeah.
I don't feel like. I mean, well, for a majority of the album.
Yeah, it works to its advantage and fits the theme. And also, like Empire Ants, like the first half of that song compared to the second half, it's like very like this is like organic.
Oh
this
yeah,
is
there is guitar in there.
It's they blend it really, really well.
Yeah, they're two of my favorite songs. I feel like aren't talked about a whole lot, but I think my two top favorite songs on this album are actually Rhinestone Eyes and Broken.
Yeah,
I love those songs.
I love those too. Broken is great. Rhinestone Eyes.
And I kind of only just recently realized how great Rhinestone Eyes is.
It's always been like up there for. It's probably like my second favorite Gorillaz song, if anything. Rhinestone Eyes, my three favorites from this one, just off the top of my head, looking at it. Empire Ants, White Flag, and Rhinestone Eyes are like my three favorites from this album.
Empire Ants is so good.
Oh, and I love Some Kind of Nature because Lou Reed is great.
Some Kind of Nature is great.
And Stylo is like god tier. And I actually, Cloud of Unknowing is kind of a hidden gem in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
the atmosphere of it is so like weird and mysterious and peaceful.
That's not one that I pay much attention to.
And I never did either, but upon re-listening to it, just like with some good headphones, I was like laying back and I was like, this song is like really cool. It's very it puts me in such a mood with its atmosphere. It's very spacey and like weird. I've grown to like love that song. It's not like, oh, it's a banger, throw it on, but just in the context of the album, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, the days of forgetting, they're gone out with the tide. Lost at sea somewhere, waiting, like setting suns at the rodeo, trying to find.
And it has a really, I like the closer a lot too, Pirate Jet. It's got a cool like piratey vibe, hence the name obviously. But On Melancholy Hill is a classic. That's like the big hit from this song.
Yeah, that's the one everyone.
To Binge is great.
To Binge is great. It's really cute.
yeah, and it's just everything. There's so many songs on here where I'm like, oh, there's so many incredible qualities, and I can think of the specific sounds, and even the ones I don't love that much, like Super Fast Jellyfish. Like I like it. And
yeah, that's the one song in this album that I have a love-hate relationship with.
The one I always skip though is Glitter Freeze.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Glitter Freeze either.
It sounds cool for like 30 seconds or a minute, but it keeps going.
Yeah,
it's
really dies.
And it's just an instrumental, and it's rare for me to like want to listen through an instrumental like song for a lot of albums unless it's like an instrumental album. But I'm just like, I want to hear the singer again. But
yeah,
it sounds cool, but it's just a lot of like just constantly, and I'm like, it's a little annoying. But that's the only song I would skip on this album, probably.
Yeah, and even with Super Fast Jellyfish, like I don't really care about the verses. They're just kind of out there.
All the cartoony sound effects, like
the cartoony sound effects, and like the vocals on there. It's really out there.
Are you kidding?
Yo, pretty packages of frosted delights.
Look, it comes with a toy. I like that. I want a number 4, number 6, and throw in a plastic donut.
Just enjoy the gritty crunch. It tastes just like chicken.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird, but the thing.
But when that chorus comes in,
yeah, it's a great chorus.
It's so good.
And I still I think the wacky verses are still fun, but I don't love listening to it like just on its own. Like in the context of the album, I'll like have fun with it, but I've never really like thought it was anything super incredible. And it's like it's a little too zany for my tastes, but I love the chorus. And the thing it does really well though is like it nails that watery undersea vibe with the sounds. Like it does exactly what it's trying to do. It's not failing at anything. It's just a style preference for me.
Super fast, I come in last, but just in time for breakfast. Keep it true, forever blue. The night throws actors, aluminum, a crucial fun, aluminum. The sea is radioactive,
it's a good song. It's not one I love, but I still like it. So
right, yeah. It's I don't know. Mostly highs on this album. It's
Totally.
not a bad album at all.
it's like tied with Demon Days. They're both like 9 out of 10 albums for me. So.
I love White Flag, Rhinestone Eyes, Stylo, Empire Ants, Some Kind of Nature, On Melancholy Hill, Broken, To Binge. Those are my favorites.
Yeah. If there was one thing about this phase I didn't love is I wasn't really crazy for the like 3D CGI style music videos for the characters.
Really? I thought that those were better than the ones for like Humans.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Because
I wouldn't...
they have more going on, but when it comes to not necessarily just like the music video concepts, but just like the 3D models versus like the 2D animation models.
I actually didn't mind them.
Yeah, I mean, they still look good, but I have a preference for 2D animation.
Right, yeah.
That just feels more like them, but for the theme of this album, it kind of works too, because it's all about like modernization, like technology, so it makes sense. And there are like, I think one of the music videos actually does have them all in the 2D style, but
it kind of mixes things up. I think in fact I think On Melancholy Hill it's like got both.
Because then there's like also like the robot noodle character. It fits with the
Cyborg
theme of the album,
noodle.
mixing like old and new and stuff like that.
That's the one thing I didn't like, is that there wasn't real noodle.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess she's present in a lot of the music videos.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's great. I really, really love this album. There's not
and this
much
album
I dislike about
just turned 10 years old last March.
That's true. Yeah, it's crazy.
So
Sweepstakes I've grown to like. I used to not like that song actually at all, but it's grown on me a lot, and I love the like trumpets and the drums on the second half of the song when they come in. It's so cool. It's like, it's a hype song. Like, I used to not like it, but I really like it now. So
yeah, I mean, it hasn't quite grown on me as much, but it's fun.
It's not one of the best songs, but it's just one I've learned to have fun with, you know?
Yeah. So
and it was just real quick, it's the best example of having a ton of features and actually implementing them perfectly. Because it never felt, because if you think about it, like 1, 2, 3, like the first 3 songs on this album like don't really even have 2D.
Yeah.
Like that much, and then White Flag is like not them at all. There's quite a few songs where it's like mostly a featured artist, but for some reason, like when compared to Humans, which we'll get into, like the way they balanced it, you never felt like he was absent from the album.
Yeah,
because they balanced it so perfectly and they implemented features so well.
I think it also
so much planning had to have gone into that.
I think it's also just the fact that they're just good songs that makes a difference.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
Speaking of Humans, so that's like the holy trinity right there for me. Mm-hmm. Self-titled, Demon Days, Plastic Beach, and then now
we're gonna actually have...
we got to talk about The Fall too.
Yeah, let's talk about that for like
it's ironic because it's kind of downhill from here for a little while.
It's sort of... The Fall has like 3 songs I actually think are good, but
let's talk about The Fall. Why does it exist?
Well, it's weird because...
And it came out a year after
I don't really
Plastic
consider
Beach.
It feels like... I mean, it is like a spin-off in a way. It's not really meant to be a full Gorillaz album. So I don't really like hold it against them like, oh, this is like...
Yeah, I don't think anyone
But they released it like an album, so I mean, it's not wrong for us to be like,
it's not a B-sides or anything, but it's an album.
Literally called The Fall by Gorillaz, you know? And It was just when Damon Albarn, when he was touring Gorillaz, he just made this album on an iPad, like on the tour bus, basically.
Yeah.
And like that's the story I know, at least something like that. And
wasn't it like all in GarageBand or something?
I don't know if it was GarageBand. It probably, if it was an iPad, it probably was. But I know,
especially for that time, that's
Yeah.
probably all that was available. But
it was all on an iPad, and so like 80% of this album is just like synthy weird instrumentals. Like there's not a lot of singing on this album.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like weird. There's 3 songs where like 2D's vocals or Damon's whatever vocals are present.
2D Damon.
Revolving Doors, Hillbilly Man, and Bobby and Phoenix I actually think are really good songs.
Let's talk about Phoenix. It's got a way of helping you to breathe a little better.
But a lot of them are just drawn out like in weird, wacky instrumentals and sounds, and not a lot of like song structure, like hardly any vocals.
Yeah,
on a lot of the songs.
It's like, you know, it's as if Damon Albarn just kind of just messed around, kind of like you and I have done, just kind of experiment around on GarageBand on our phones and make a song out of it.
Yeah.
And
it was just him messing around, and I don't think he was like, oh, this is the next Gorillaz album. Like, it came out the same year as Plastic Beach. It came out on Christmas, I think, actually. He was just like, here's a thing. Like, it was, like, I'm sure in his mind, he was just like, oh, this will be fun. Oh, yeah, it's a Gorillaz project,
I mean, technically, that's like the best way to make a profit, because he probably didn't pay anything to have that made.
Oh, yeah. It was probably super easy.
And I don't remember, is there any like organic instrumentation on here?
There's acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Like Hillbilly Man, Revolving Doors.
Because I mean, I'll be honest, I don't listen to this album.
I
wanted to try to before we recorded this.
I skimmed through it a bit more just to really remember if it was as empty like with vocals as I remember. But yeah, there's some like guitar and stuff on it, and those are the songs I like, and not just because of that, but because they're actually like songs. It's not just an instrumental of like weird synths and sounds, which I mean they're not bad, but I don't want to listen to the whole album of that. And I can see him just being like, I'll just make this for fun. Here guys, have some bonus content. Like, I don't think he was advertising like, here's the next Gorillaz album. But I think a lot of people, they look back and they see this and they're like, this is a weird album for them. But I think in the context of when it came out, it would have been a lot more easy. Okay, he was probably just like, here's some like side stuff I made. If you guys, here you go, Merry Christmas, you know.
Well, also, I mean, I do commend Damon Albarn, because this is probably the first time that's ever been done. Like someone just making a whole album on their iPad.
Yeah, and that was kind of a selling point, which is funny, because you go on the iTunes store and it's like made completely on his iPad.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, and I guess like if you listen to it, like, oh yeah, it's pretty good for just iPad music.
Yeah, that's like the fun. That's where the fun aspect comes in listening to it. It's like this sound quality is like pretty good considering that.
Yeah, but still not like up to the level of the previous albums.
It's like it's very much. It's not a B-sides to Plastic Beach, because it wasn't like songs that were meant to be on there, but in a way it acts as like because like Demon Days had D-sides. Plastic Beach has The Fall, you know. There's like they both have their like kind of like lesser companion albums.
I kind of wonder if like any of these were actually rejected songs for Plastic Beach.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
since
surprised
it was
if
made around the
like
same.
The more complete songs were like Revolving Door, like kind of sounds like it could have been, but
yeah.
Revolving doors, what have I done? For someone on the TV, a tapping lows. Revolving doors, what will I become? And the redneck son, he paid up for a 7, but he only got an 8, and now I feel that I'm poor.
But yeah, it has the
weird.
songs on it that are like really good or solid, but it's just pretty
Like a handful
uninteresting.
of them.
Yeah, it's just uninteresting overall. Like,
Yeah, sorry, Damon. Sorry you had to fall.
I know you poured your whole heart into that album. It was your magnum opus.
I mean, honestly, I can see like if it's just him working on, you know, his iPad, I can imagine that probably took a lot of effort to make.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's just,
you're really limited.
Yeah, it just it didn't, you know, he didn't have that collaboration other than that one song.
Yeah,
really, it's just kind of just him, and so I don't know. I guess if I made it, I would probably be proud of it. But
yeah,
it's whatever. So.
7 years of darkness.
The longest time that we've had to wait for a Gorillaz album.
Yep.
And we start to hear rumors of another album to be released.
So let's just start by talking about when all these teases were coming out and how freaking excited you and me were.
Oh yeah,
like we were texting and like listening to the songs.
I remember the day
out.
when they released like one or two albums on BBC Radio.
Yeah, and
I remember you and I like, you know, we planned to tune in, and then we were like texting each other like, "Oh, what did you think about this?" Blah, blah. I think it was Andromeda, and I don't remember.
Andromeda, Saturn's Bars was like the first one, and then Andromeda and Ascension.
No, actually, I think it was just Andromeda, and I don't think Saturn's Bars came out until later.
That was one of the singles, though, right?
It was, but they exclusively released these songs on the radio just to be listened to that one time. It's
For
like
some reason, I thought Saturn's Bars was the first one they premiered.
It was the first one that they like released for everyone to hear.
Oh, right.
But they teased the album by exclusively playing these songs on BBC Radio.
Oh.
And it was Andromeda, and it might have been Busted in Blue. I don't know.
Nah,
it was a slower song.
Was it Busted in Blue? I would be surprised if that was one, because that song is boring.
I do remember the second song being kind of like, this is kind of slow or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was just like so much hype, and
yeah, because it had been 7 years, and they're talking up how this is like going to be a much darker album, and we're like, whoa, it's going to be so sinister and crazy, and they released like artwork for it, and it was all weird, and then they released the album art, and it like looked like the Demon Days album art, like how it's like the 4 characters and squares, but they like looked all weird and like realistic.
Yeah, I remember not everyone being a fan.
I remember liking it because the other official artwork was like normal, you know, regular, what you expect, but just the album art was like different and weird. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be a weird, like dark, twisted record and creepy. And I was like excited for some reason, and well, not for some. I was excited because
obvious why,
because the singles they released were like good.
Seemingly, yeah.
I liked the singles. I remember. I don't know if maybe you listened to something else, but when the singles were coming out, I remember hearing Saturn's Bars first, and then Andromeda, and then I believe the next ones were Ascension and Let Me Out.
There's also We Got the Power.
Yeah, and We Got the Power, which I don't like anymore, but I remember really liking it when they showed it first. Yeah. No. Hallelujah Money was the first song.
Oh yeah.
Which, oh my gosh, that's
what it was that
this like proves I didn't know until I saw it. I was looking through the songs right now, and I was like, oh yeah, that song. Because I totally forget it exists.
Yeah.
I remember like convincing myself. Yeah, because I remember that was the first single for this album. That was the
first thing that we like. We're like, oh my gosh, is Gorillaz making new music now?
Yeah, and I was
they
like,
just released the music video.
And I remember in my head, I can remember being conflicted, but I convinced myself it was super cool and weird. And I was like, it's like fire coming out of the monkey's head because it's kind of spoken word and real, but it's not. It wasn't anything like that song.
Hallelujah, money. Here is our tree that primitively grows. When we go to bed, scarecrows from the far east come to eat.
And I liked the idea of that song, but I don't like how stiff the beat and instrumentation was going back to it.
Yeah.
And I really convinced myself to love that song. And I was so excited. And I remember everyone like not liking it. And I was like, it's just different. They're mad. It's not
it had very mixed reception for sure.
I remember making fun of people because I was like, they're just mad. It's not Feel Good Inc. 2.
I remember comments like that.
I was so like in denial that it wasn't that good.
That's the thing is like this whole time leading up to this album, I feel like a lot of it was just denial because it had been so long since Plastic Beach.
7 years.
No one wanted to regard The Fall really, but
it was a very bold. I'll give them that. It was a bold choice to have their comeback be such an untraditional song, and I can respect that.
Yeah,
but
like even all the other like I'm not as much of a fan of Andromeda really anymore. Yeah. I still actually I like Saturn's bars.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
A lot of people complain about like the auto-tune, but I don't mind it.
It works
honestly.
for that style of song, and the vocals are doing it. It fits the song really well.
Yeah, and I love the chorus. It's got a great hook. Yeah, honestly,
it's super catchy. And I liked the music videos.
The music video was cool. It was like that the 3D.
The 3D monsters.
Yeah. Well, you could watch it like in 3D on your phone, you know.
Yeah,
you can do that sometimes.
All my life I'm in a staking bar, I got dead, I'm at the base. All my life sad and about to my love, and I'm just a heartbreaker. I won't get a taking, cause I'm out when I'm staking, and the ring I'm breaking, I'm making you a personal day.
But it was cool. I was really excited. I thought Andromeda was amazing. I'm kind of like, it's pretty good now. I still like it, but if I had to make like a essential Gorillaz songs playlist, I wouldn't put it on there probably. I think it's pretty good though. I liked Ascension a decent amount. I still really like Let Me Out. I still think that's a pretty good song. I think it's got a really cool like kind of chorus to it.
Yeah.
But Ascension is like, it's fine, but I don't really like love it that much. But that's the thing, when these were the singles when they were coming out, I was like, oh, this is going to be such a sick album. And I was so excited and constantly listening to it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then I remember they had like one teaser that had a really short clip of Charger, and you could hear the guitar, and I was like, they're going to have rock songs on here, like the debut album, and they're gonna have punk stuff, and I thought it was gonna be like their most versatile record ever. Which, to be fair, Charger is the best song on this album, and I know you don't really. I know you don't agree.
It's grown on me.
Good
for sure.
Good.
Everything is so to get it. I just don't know where I'm getting it from. What is the cause of it? And when in the case, then do you know that you're wrong?
In fact, a lot of the songs that I used to like, I don't know. I think the whole album,
a lot of it
has like tainted the rest of the albums that I thought were good.
The songs I loved, I like kind of like now, except for Charger. I still love. I still actually would probably say Charger is one of my favorite Gorillaz songs. Honestly, I actually genuinely love that song. But it's the only song on this album I would say I love. You know.
Yeah, Saturn's Bars is definitely my favorite. I don't like Strobe Light really.
I'm gonna admit, Strobe Light I thought was kind of lame. It is grown on me though. I actually think it's really catchy. When the night is, I've actually like kind of grown to like it.
I think I'm just not really as much of a fan of like that like R&B kind of style.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a Gorillaz song in the slightest, like at all.
Yeah, there's like
that's the thing about this album is instrumentally and production wise, it's very not Gorillaz.
Yeah, I was thinking this earlier today. Is like one of the main complaints about this album is like there's like so many like features on it and not a whole lot of 2D, not a whole lot of Damon's voice.
Yeah,
but the thing is
you
that
can say the
like,
same about Plastic Beach.
Yeah, there are like so many Gorillaz hits.
Yeah.
That are mainly like the featured artist. So I'm like, well, that can't be the real reason why it's bad. It must be that the songs are just not great.
How I word it is Plastic Beach their features, it was Gorillaz featuring this. These songs felt like they were featuring Damon Albarn, you know?
Yeah.
It felt like the featured artist, it felt like their song, like even instrumentally and production wise, it felt like their song.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they were like put on this big collaborative album. Like I remember someone compared it to like a DJ Khaled album where it's just a bunch of random artists.
Yeah, it feels very crowded.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like artists I wouldn't have like expected, which they've done a lot of like weird unexpected artists on their albums, but these were like almost, some of them are too well known. I don't know if that sounds stupid to say, but a lot of the features just like Vince Staples is a great rapper.
Yeah,
but I
was excited about.
I wouldn't
hearing
have
him
expected him to, I like his track on here a lot though, honestly. But like Pevin Everett, I'll actually give it. I liked his feature. That's Strobe Light, because no one really knows who he is. They brought back De La Soul, which was cool, but I thought Moments was really bad.
I remember actually liking Moments.
I convinced myself I loved this whole album when it came out, and you remember
Moments,
I was telling you how much I thought this album was incredible. I loved it, but I was in denial because it had been 7 years and I wanted it to be
I think
good.
I remember I was like the one who was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you had to like
think
talk
this
sense.
album might not be that great.
Yeah, I remember when like it sank in and I noticed I wasn't really going back to it that much. And I listened through it all and I was like, you know what? I was like, oh, another song.
I mean, it did take me a while for me to like come to grips myself. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, this isn't a great album.
Yeah, it was like heartbreaking because I was like, I waited so long. Let's see. The other song I wanted to mention real quick that I actually like a lot too is "She's My Caller" with Kali Uchis.
I'm yellow, he was blue. It's nothing that he could hide. We made agreement, though. Whenever we would collide, I died 1,000 times. I did what I had to do. Hey, that's just how it goes. I'm still coming back to you.
I actually think that's a really good. I love it's like the most one of the more interesting instrumentations.
I honestly don't remember it.
And I think 2D's vocals on it are kind of fun and weird, but that's one of the songs I still like from it. I don't like adore it, but I still actually think it's one of the highlights. I don't really care for the interludes either.
Yeah,
they didn't really serve a purpose. Like they didn't really do anything for the theme.
What was the?
Because there wasn't really like an overall. There was kind of a theme with this album, but it didn't.
The nonconformist oath is actually funny.
I like that, yeah. But one's like where it's just like going up, and it's like a 2-second thing. I'm like, I don't dislike it. Yeah, but it's like, why? I don't know.
It's weird. And another big problem for this album is that there's just a lot of filler, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like The Fall, where Damon Albarn's like, I'm just going to like hit record and like mess with all these sounds and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can write your own rap over it and, you know. Here we go, Sex Murder Party.
Yeah,
that's my least favorite.
That's the worst song on this. That song is Gorillaz' worst song. I swear it's the worst. It's terrible. I actually legit think that's like a terrible song. Yeah, it sounds unfinished.
It's pretty bad. I just love your upfrontness.
I also really hate Carnival.
I don't remember Carnival.
Just like a carnival. It's like kind of like the vocal. It's such a boring, repetitive song. I'm gonna go over the things I don't like now because I've been like giving this album a chance. Busted in Blue is like kind of cool, but it's really boring.
Busted in Blue.
It's so boring.
Well, it's like one of the few like only 2D singing on it.
Submission is like fine. I love Danny Brown. Like I think he's such a good rapper. I love Danny Brown.
Yeah.
But he was really weird and out of place on this song. Maybe I like his section better.
I actually kind of like this song.
Yeah.
And I actually still like his rap part in it.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's just so out there.
Yeah.
That I
just feel like
it's like,
yeah. Like I love Danny Brown. It just I don't like how it transitions into his part. It feels like I like the first half too. I think my thing with Submission is I don't dislike it. I like both parts of the song, but together as one song, it's weird.
It probably could have been.
It's an
better.
awkward listen.
Yeah.
Wish I could think a better way. I lost my patience yesterday. If you can see inside of me, be no hurt on my X-ray. Opponents trying to check me, but I don't see no escape. Just trying to keep my head straight. I'm finished with the ice skate. At times I feel like giving up.
But I mean, it's like one of the few songs that I actually like. Okay, yeah, I like it.
And at this point, I do not like Moments. A lot of people kind of still defend that song. I think it has one of the most obnoxious like beats of any Gorillaz song.
Moments.
Like the bass on that song is so gross.
I remember digging it, but it's been a while since I've listened to it.
It like starts out, I will give it. I love the group vocal moments. Like I think that's cool.
Okay.
I actually like that part.
Yeah.
There's aspects of it, but I just, again, the production of that song I think is kind of atrocious, and I don't think De La Soul's
kind of disgusting.
De La Soul's like performance is like it's a moment like that. It's like, oh, that part's cool, but everything else is like
yeah,
boring.
I guess I don't really remember the rest of the song.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the one part I remember. It's such a, and then there was the deluxe version that had extra tracks like Hallelujah, not Hallelujah, The Apprentice, which is like halfway to the halfway house is also kind of terrible.
The Apprentice, like, isn't that about Trump?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, not to get political on this podcast.
Well, that was like the point of this album in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that's what I'm not really a fan of like political music.
Yeah, it depends on how on the nose it is. Even if I agree with it,
I'm not really a fan of. No, I forgot. Let Me Out. Really?
Yeah, the thing that bugs me is when they're like bringing in real world people, but it's like it's a Gorillaz album, so we got to censor it out so people.
Yeah, we're not going to say the names.
Yeah, it's like it's just weird. Like they censor out like Obama's name at one part. It's just like
3 syllables. I wonder who he's supposed to be.
It's like this is why Gorillaz. It's just weird for like if they can't decide. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna like start making songs about real world things, but we're a fictional band, but so we'll just sing that, but we'll censor it. So it's like, oh, you don't know who we're singing about in the lore of the universe.
I guess I'll reiterate, if a song has a political message, it's fine. I don't like it when it gets like too specific, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this political person. I don't like this political thing.
Even
whatever.
if it's a message I agree with, I'm just like, this feels on the nose.
Yeah.
Like
I like ones that are more like because
it kind of like
more unifying. I guess
it also ruins replayability for me. Because it's like, I don't want to be like sad and angry when I listen to a song.
Yeah.
I don't want to think
it
about
also kind of
real
dates
world.
It too.
Yeah, like I don't want to think about these things sometimes. Like I like serious messages about like real world things, but I don't want to be like this specific person that did this specific thing, and I don't know, I'm just like, I know.
Honey, I know.
And it's not like people can't sing about or make songs about these things because there's political songs I really adore and love. It just it depends on the execution for me.
Yeah, and also I no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, I just don't like it because like I know not everyone is going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to have the same political perspective as I do. So I would never write a song from like the perspective of the left or the right.
Like you're dumb and stupid if you don't agree with me.
Because like I know how what's the word I want? How isolating that feels.
Yeah.
When a person that I like says something like that I don't agree with. Yeah. And so it makes me feel like, I'm
stupid and dumb.
Yeah, basically. And I would never want anyone to feel that, which is why I don't write. I mean, I have written songs that are like politically motivated, I guess, but I always try to find the middle ground. And
but you're not like telling people like what to think or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
For me, I think it's if it doesn't feel like it's coming from a personal place and it feels like a arbitrary or obligation, like, well, we got to make a song about this because everyone's talking about it or something. It's just, if it feels like it was an obligation or like, well, I guess I gotta make a song about this so everyone like knows how, you know, on their side I am. But if it's so, you can just kind of feel with some songs where it's like
if you don't like this song, that means you're a racist.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're coming from like a personal place with it sometimes. And there are songs that do, and I love them, but it depends on the execution of it for me completely. So
going back to the songwriting aspect of it, I remember hearing somewhere that Damon basically, there wasn't a whole lot of like a good collaboration effort. Like,
they did everything
basically just
online.
like let everyone just write their own verses.
Yeah, basically what he did was he told everyone, he gave them like, all right, picture this in the world and write a song about it, and they all did that, and they just kind of communicated online, and then they sent him their stuff, and I think
so they didn't even like work together.
Not really.
Huh.
That's why this album feels. I'm sure he did with some people, but that's why this album feels disjointed, because they all just kind of were like, all right, split up, write a song, give it to me, and then I'll make a song with it or something.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how it felt.
Which I don't know if he's ever done that before with his collaborative tracks, like just kind of have them write their own, but I feel like that there was more intention.
He probably has, because especially with like MF Doom, like on November Has Come, like those words feel like something.
Yeah,
that he would have
I
written.
can't imagine Damon
but
writing those.
But there's also not like tons and tons of artists. Like I think Plastic Beach, he probably was a little more personable and he had a very strong theme for that album.
Yeah,
and so it works better. But when he's just like, here's like a vague thing, and like let's make a song about this thing and do this thing and that thing and whatever, and just email it to me when you're done. And I don't know how personal he was working with them, but it gives me the sense that there wasn't a lot of like real passion in some of it.
Yeah,
and based off interviews and stuff, it seems like he is very aware of that with this album. And he has talked about how he's like, yeah, I like, no, I'm probably not that good. Haven't been that good lately. And I'm depressed and sad. And I'm like, Damon.
Yeah, see, yeah.
So I
he
think
must
he
have
knows.
been in a pretty dark place or something.
Yeah. He definitely knew that people weren't crazy for it, but
it's kind of sad.
That's too bad. But
we
yeah,
have our opinions.
But I want to get back to a couple more songs. I think Out of Body is actually another song. It's a deluxe song. I actually like that one quite a bit too. Has a really fun like ending.
Okay.
And then Ticker Tape has a cute little instrumental, but it's like whatever.
Ticker Tape is interesting.
It's like a cute song. It's not amazing, but I like it a little.
Wasn't
bit.
there like a?
Ticker
I guess it wasn't on the deluxe. I guess it was a single. Garage Palace.
Oh yeah, Garage Palace and Sleeping Powder were like they weren't B-sides, they were just like kind of random songs that
Just
he
random
put out.
singles.
I think he did Sleeping Powder, I think, as like a retaliation to people being mad that Tootie wasn't on the album.
That's
that much.
what he said. I
and
guess.
that song is great.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's a really good song. It's super fun. And I like Garage Palace a lot because
Garage Palace is great too.
It introduced me to Little Sims, and she's like one of my favorite rappers right now. She's so good.
Yeah.
And her album Gray Area was so good. And that song is so good. But yeah, this album was just a mess, and I loved it at first. I convinced myself to love it, but after it started to sink in, I really was like, man, I don't like this. I was like, it's like okay. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't re-listen to it, and there's only like there's like 3 songs on it that I kind of like, and there's a few that I actually hate. like Halfway to the Halfway House and Sex Murder Party are like tied for their worst songs ever.
See, like, yeah.
And Carnival is like one of the most boring, forgettable songs. And there's a lot of.
See, like other albums, you don't really have any songs that you hate.
Yeah.
But this one, there's like
there's
a bunch
like,
of them.
There can be songs where I'm like, that's like okay, I might skip. But this one is like, I genuinely don't like it. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Like, it's either repetitive or underproduced or overproduced or just boring.
Very
uninteresting.
sad.
Yeah, this album ended up being quite a disappointment for me, and it took me like watching some reviews of it. Not that like my mind was changed from reviews, but I look back and I remember inside convincing myself like maybe I don't like the no. It's you're too used to their old style. It's good, and I can remember convincing myself that I liked it. But when I finally like let it sit for like a month or two, and I watched some reviews, I was like, you know what, this is like kind of not that good. Yeah, it's like such a 4 out of 10 album for me. Yeah, maybe 5, but probably not. Probably more of a 4 because I think there's not that many songs I love. It's like there's like one song I love, a few songs I think are good, like pretty good. Like I like these, I would listen to them. Then there's like a few that I think are really boring, and then there's a couple I hate. So it's definitely not mostly positive.
It's not a great mixture.
Yeah, no. So it was very disappointing in the end, even though at first I was like hype on it, but it didn't last long. Yeah. And you were witness to my slow decline into madness.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of accepted it sooner than you did.
You did, because I remember you being like, I don't really like it that much anymore. And I was like, well, you're stupid and dumb, and I hate you.
I think I was more like, I like the singles, I don't really like the album. Yeah. And even now, I like less of the singles than I did before.
Yeah, like Andromeda's like kind of boring now. Yeah. And Dram's not even
Andromeda.
on it. There's like an alternate version where Dram is actually a feature on it, and it's like way better.
Yeah, what does he even do in the original?
He's like a background vocal. He's like a texture. It's weird. It's
like, hey, I gotta get paid.
It was just very poorly what's the word? Poorly constructed features. Very bad direction.
Yeah. So Humans, not good. Not great. Yeah. You know.
I would say it's mediocre.
Yeah,
it's not like an awful album, but I dislike it more than I like it.
We've lost all the
It
Humans
still has Charger
stands.
though. I will always at least give it that. It has Charger, good. Which is like top 10 Gorillaz songs.
I am the ghost.
So good. Grace Jones is rad. But I think this next one we might disagree on a little.
The Now?
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's better than Humans, but I definitely like it less than the Holy Trinity.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree. I think the aspect we're going to disagree on is I think I like it quite a bit more than you. I don't like it as much as the first 3.
Probably.
I totally don't like it as much as the first 3, but it's like a 7.5 out of 10 album for me, probably. Like I actually like it.
I think I'm like 50-50, honestly.
Like a 5, yeah.
5 out of 10, yeah.
It's like a strong.
Let's talk about why.
It's a strong 7 for me. I actually quite like this album, and I've gone up and down. And I got false hope with this album again when it came out. Yeah. I was like, it's the redemption. I was like, this is going to be good.
With this one, it was more like, oh, Humans was awful, but maybe this will be good.
He's listening to the fans. It's like only 2D now.
Yeah.
It was like.
Yeah, there's like only 2 features. Yeah. And one of them it's not even a vocal feature. It's just guitar,
Yeah. Well, technically there's 3 because there's Snoop Dogg and Jamie Principle on Hollywood, but
I meant tracks.
Yeah, but tracks,
not features.
Which I thought it was cool they had a featured like guitarist and not like a singer. It was very different, and I remember.
Humility was the first single that comes out, and I remember like this is amazing.
Isolation, 'cause right now that's the bowl where we be trained. And if you call
Yeah,
Like,
I remember
love
loving
this.
it. I remember like loving it, and I was so excited.
I think
so
it's
I was
because
like,
it's like
bringing
such a stark contrast to Humans, because it's like
it
this.
was like a bright, happy beach song.
Yeah.
and not sex murder
And like,
party.
yeah, and like the music video is a lot of fun. Has like 2D's all happy, everyone's
Yeah.
happy. Murdoch's not in it. It's got the guy from Powerpuff Girls,
Which I actually still love that they did that just for no reason.
That was kind of fun.
It was
yeah,
super
they
cool.
got one of the characters from Powerpuff Girls to replace the bassist Murdoch, just for
because Jamie Healy was involved in both, and in the Powerpuff Girls movie way back in the day, there was a newspaper that had the Gorillaz in it. So they've always kind of like done Easter eggs like that.
Yeah. So, and Jack Black's in it.
Yeah.
And who else was in the music video? I remember there was like, who's Noodle playing? She was playing chess with someone.
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah. So, but it's like, you know, you watch the music video like, oh, this is so fun to watch, and it's a fun song, and like it's still. Now looking back, it's still a fun song.
It's like mostly good, but I've kind of gotten to this point where I think where my first reaction was like, I love it, it's so good. I was hyped because I was like, oh, they're bringing the guitar back.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, they're fine, they're listening to us.
Yeah, because like the guitar
back...
was like barely present in Humans.
Yeah, and
it's like, what did Noodle do?
Like it literally had a sample of an electric guitar on one song in Humans, and that was it. But I was like, oh man, they're going back to their roots and having blends of organic and blah blah blah, and I was all excited because I thought that was like what the whole album was going to be, and like I wasn't totally wrong. There was a couple songs that did have guitar in it too, but but I remember loving it. I thought the music video was great. I was like, oh, it's 2D animation again, and it's all like weird and like Who Framed Roger Rabbit-y, and I kind of like that they've gone in that direction where it's like the characters in the real world. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was super hyped on it again because I thought it was going to be their redemption album. Like, oh, Damon Albarn heard all our cries and criticisms, and he's going to make an album specifically for us. And it was a lot better. And I was super hyped on it, and then they released a few more singles. It was a very similar process to the last album. I think it was like Sorcerers was a single. I can't remember if Trans was or not. And I want to say Fireflies was another single.
Trans wasn't.
They
did make a music video for it after the album was released.
There was a music video for that.
Hollywood was a single.
Hollywood was a single. And yeah, I was like, okay, these are really good. And I was like trying to not let myself get too hyped because I was like, remember Humans, like, yes, they're the singles, but don't assume the whole album is going to be amazing. And it's a similar process to Humans where I was like, I love these singles. And then they kind of sink in later. And where it's okay, maybe I don't like them as much now. It's similar to Humans, but on a way lesser scale.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where I was like, this whole album sounds the same. I don't like it. It's too samey. And then like I just one day was kind of chilling. I just listened through it all. I was like, that was like, you know what? This is a pleasant listen. And I just wasn't like thinking about it too hard because I was like, Gorillaz needs to sound like this and have this because... for Humans and the Now, I was so obsessed with what do they need to sound like? What are they missing? What do they need? And I was like, let me just listen to this like just a synth pop album just on its own and not be like, what does it need? What does Gorillaz need? Blah, blah, blah. And I ended up just being like, you know what? I like this quite a bit actually. And it grew on me when I kind of listened to it with a different perspective. And my stance on it now is like, it's not really a good Gorillaz album. But I think it's a great album. I think it's a great album, but a not good Gorillaz album. It's like a really good Damon Albarn album, you know?
I wouldn't go so far to say
maybe not great. Well, it's like 7 out of 10, so it's like really good for me. But
the thing for me is that, I mean, there's songs in here that I like. Humility's fine.
Yeah,
I think that ended up actually on
I forgot.
I think that was my most played song on Spotify that year.
I think
actually,
it was one of mine for sure. I actually like kind of don't like Humility that much anymore.
I actually like the Superorganism remix better.
That's cool.
I think.
Yeah, that remix is fun for me. I hate the drum beat on that song. It's very so
simplistic.
Stiff.
It's like boop.
Yeah, it needed like a driving beat Isolation.
It also needed real drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needed, because just that stiff, like, just constant, simple bass kick, like,
Yeah.
it did not fit the rest of the instrumentation, and it made it's like stiff and weird.
Yeah.
But every other part of the song I like. I did not like the drumming of that song at all.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins it for me now. If I go to listen to it, I'm like, it feels weird.
Yeah. It could have grounded, like a real drum set could have really grounded the whole song.
Yeah.
And it's not really. So I know how you feel about this, but I actually like Trans.
Trans shrunk on me a lot. I don't like the production of it. I think it's a very muddy sounding song and almost like weirdly. It's
really,
like
I don't
fun.
get that.
I don't know why. There's something, and I can't really describe it, but just every time I listen to it, it just something sounds. It feels like there's something missing from it every time I hear it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help
And
that you.
I think
and
there's
I haven't
too
even
many-
heard it, but you like heard the original.
I heard a live version of it, and
Live
it was
version,
like a
yeah.
rock song, almost like guitars and stuff. And it's not even that. Maybe it could have benefited from something, but it just sounded a little too. It didn't have enough, and what was there didn't really mesh together instrumentally for me. Like,
I feel like that we've kind of like switched.
yeah, we're like total
I
opposite.
like Hollywood. I think
Hollywood's
Hollywood's
good.
fine.
I love the like kind of.
I actually think that Hollywood could have been better with just a little bit more.
I agree. I like the
instrumental.
little arpeggiated synth thing that comes in later during Snoop's verse. I love Snoop Dogg on this song. He has a very smooth like delivery, and I love his voice on it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the production on Hollywood's great. I don't really like the what's his name? I don't really like Jamie Principal's parts on this that much.
It's all right.
It's a little too just like talky.
She's so seductive.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm just like I like the second half of the song way more. Whenever Snoop comes in, that's when the song's like, okay, I like this a lot.
and the chorus is great too.
Yeah, it's like pretty good.
I just think the song is kind of a little bit overly instrumental. I think it could have done better with like some classic like Demon Days bass line or something.
Yeah, we're like total opposites because I'm not really crazy. Hollywood's like fine, but I don't really listen to it. So it's like the first three songs, which are like probably the most exciting songs on the album, are the ones I listen to the least, actually. And I actually really like the rest of the album, with the exception of like Lake Zurich being too long and boring.
A lot of it is just very
and Idaho,
forgettable
I don't
for
care
me.
about. Yeah, it's weird. Because I had a period where I was like, I love this album, and I was like, this is all forgettable. And then it was like a few months ago, I re-listened to it. I was like, this was good. And there was a few songs that I kept going back to, and I was like, you know what, this is like I ended up really liking it. But it's not one of those things where it's not like if someone said, I don't think Demon Days is good, and I'd be like, what? But this is one of those things where someone's like, I don't think the Now is good, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Like I wouldn't like defend this album with my life, you know?
Okay.
Because the context of it being a Gorillaz album, it's hard to ignore that. But when I listen to it, I don't really listen to it like I do any other Gorillaz album. I just listen to it like some Damon Albarn project, which it is that, but it doesn't really, it's a pretty like, it's really underwhelming for a Gorillaz album. But if it was like a Damon Albarn solo album, if I picture it like that, I think it's really good for some reason.
That's the thing, though, is that it is a Gorillaz album.
Yeah.
And you can't really take it out of that context.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
it's kind of like it's kind of like the D-sides for me, where it has a very specific feel to it. And almost the whole album has this feel. And it's not as good as their other stuff, but there's the songs that are there, I find really charming and good.
It's just
it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a phase of Gorillaz, though. It feels like one of the spin-off side album kind of things. I would say I like D-sides better, but if we were to group it with albums like The Fall and D-sides, I would be like, oh yeah, this is great. But as like a full phase of Gorillaz, it's like, whatever, it's not as good as the first three in any regard.
Even as like, honestly, even as like not a Gorillaz album, it's just the fact that like after the first three songs, most of these songs I don't even remember.
Yeah,
like
that's kind of how I felt too for a while.
So even as just like an album itself, it's forgettable and it just doesn't speak to me. So
I
can't say that it's good, really.
I'm sort of a now apologist at this point. I don't think it's great. It's not one of their best albums. I've seen people go as far to say it's their favorite, and that I would never be on that ship.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, it's one of their best. It's if we're speaking statistically, it's technically their second worst. I would still agree with that, but Gorillaz is so good. It's like, okay, they have one bad album and one album that's like pretty good.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a pretty good album. Like I like it, but I wouldn't be like, I love this album.
It's all right.
There's like a couple songs I love on it. That's the thing. When I talk with people about this album, yeah, I think it's way better than Humans, but none of these songs are as good as like Charger, you know? Like Humans at least still has like a higher high than any of the highs on this album. But this album doesn't have anything I don't dislike. There's a couple songs I think are boring, but nothing on this album I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like I think like Zurich, however you pronounce that, it's a cool instrumental. It's so long. It's like the longest song on the album. I don't know. It's a cool, Idaho's boring. It's like cool-ish. I like it, but it's boring. And then 1% is like, okay, it's only good in the context of the album. I wouldn't just turn it on, one of those.
Yeah.
But the songs I do like I think Kansas are really, and yeah, some of the songs sound very similar. Like Kansas and Magic City are like pretty similar.
Yeah.
But I love the melodies of them, and Magic City especially is a little more happy, and I like the snares they use and like the weird bubbly bass sounds, and it just is a very strong, it's a very vibey album.
Yeah.
It's like I can't remember who said this, but it was probably, I think it was Anthony Fantano, but it's like, you're at the beach, but you're too sad to have fun. It's like the perfect way to describe this album.
I don't know if he meant that as a compliment.
No, I don't think he did. But I kind of take it as one. Like, I would describe that in a good way because it's such a mood. Just sitting on the beach, you're like, this sucks.
I mean, hey, being at the beach is better than just being stuck in home.
Yeah. And like Sorcerers, I still really like the way Tootie's vocals are on that song. It's really weird. Idaho's boring. Like Zurich is too long. I love Magic City. I think Fireflies is one of my favorite Gorillaz songs. I don't know if it's top 10, maybe top 15, but I love Fireflies. I still do. That's a song I never really dropped off from liking. Because I like how it like goes from like 4/4 to 3/4 or whatever, back and forth. It's a really creative, weird song, and it has such an atmosphere. And then 1% is like, it's a cool transition into Sukai. And I kind of defend Sukai with my life at this point. Because that was a song I thought was boring at first too. I was like, this is like okay. And I remember listening to it the first few times. I was like, no, it's good. I like it. And I was like, no, I love it. And then I was like, no, I love it. I love it. It's great. No, I don't like this album. And I just went back and forth, and I kind of ended up in this middle place.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't dislike anything, but it doesn't have that exciting of highs. But Sukai is my under Fireflies. I think Sukai is actually, in a way, it feels like the most Gorillaz song on this album, especially near the end, with like the guitar and like some of the weird like horn, trumpet, midis that come in at the end. I think it's actually a really good closer. I really like it as a closer, and it reminds me of Demon Days with some of its style, and I like that song a lot, actually. It grew on me a lot, which I didn't expect it to, because I didn't really like it that much, but like Kansas, like Kansas, Magic City, Fireflies, and Sukai. That's like 4 songs I would say I love from this album. So where Humans had 1 song I loved, this album has 4 songs I love. The rest I'm like, these are good. And then the only one I would skip is Humility and Trans. At this point, Humility is like a skip for me, which is kind of sad, but I think it's a very disjointed.
Big factor for me, would probably be because I listened to it so much. I kind of played that song to death.
Yeah, same.
But I feel like, and we'll conclude with this, because this episode is getting kind of long.
Yeah,
but
as always.
We've been trying to keep these shorter, but sorry, we like things too much.
It's true.
But I feel like the Now weirdly suffers from what, like, with the opposite from Humans.
It was totally a like a backpedal move.
I feel like Damon Albarn took all those comments about like too many features in Humans like way too seriously.
I totally agree.
Because it's only like 2 features, and like I said, only one of them has like actual vocals on them. And I don't know. I feel like Damon's happy place is where it's like, it's almost like a 50-50.
Yeah.
You know, where, maybe more like 75-25.
Yeah, like 60-40, like a little bit above, somewhere above 50.
Yeah. Humans is like kind of disjointed because, you know, there's not a whole lot of collaboration. It's like Damon making a song and then the artists like just making their own thing on top of it.
It's like your favorite band's releasing a mixtape of someone else's, some other band, and
pretty
being
much
like, here's our new album.
Yeah. But the Now is just, I think it's just too much of just Damon, and unfortunately I guess it's just not all that interesting to me.
Yeah, and that's like super valid. That's not like a point I would ever be like, you're wrong and you're stupid, you don't get it. Like, there's nothing really to get with this album. It's a pretty simple album, and it's not much to digest, but at this point I've kind of grown to really appreciate some like the vibes. Such a millennial.
It's all about them vibes, man.
Like the feel and just general like mood of this album, I kind of like dig.
Yeah.
But I don't love all of it. But there's quite a few songs I love, and I revisit if I'm listening to Gorillaz. I'll like pop on a song or two from here, and yeah, it still lacks identity of what makes Gorillaz, but there's enough of it there that I still like enjoy it. I don't know.
It's valid.
I tamed myself to be excited for it, and got super excited for it again when it was coming out, and then I thought I loved it, and then I convinced myself I was overreacting, and then I made myself think it was really bad, and just after like however long it's been, a couple years since this came out, I've just learned Plastic Beach to Humans in between. He was doing, I think that's when he did the Magic Whip with Blur, and he was just doing a lot of other stuff, and he was like, all right, I gotta do something for Gorillaz now, and all that. But I think, which this is a good segue, now with some of the new singles, I really think he knows. I would say that this Song Machine project that they're doing now, which we can get into this now, this feels like the actual comeback for Gorillaz, in my opinion. I think Song Machine, if Humans in the Now didn't happen, I think this would be like the perfect comeback.
Yes.
And in a way, it feels like the perfect comeback still, because the last two albums, even though I like the Now, I still think the last two albums were lacking in terms of Gorillaz. And these new singles are
it was
so
lacking
good.
Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Not
Not enough Gorillaz.
Yeah, this band is so fake. There's no real Gorillaz in this band.
But yeah, I already know you like them, but what do you think of the new singles?
Yeah, so my mental space of where, I guess we should clarify what the Song Machine actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So Gorillaz is now in the middle of this, I guess, project. I guess it's not really an album, not yet, but they're basically releasing a single every month for the rest of the year.
Yeah, which is cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's very, very unique, very original. And so by this point, before the first single came out, Gorillaz had just let me down too much.
Yeah.
I honestly...
You and me both were like, oh, there's a new song coming out.
Yeah, I honestly...
We were so bitter.
I wasn't expecting much.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of perfect for like my expectancies to be low. Even though, I mean, it's not like, oh, it's better than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
It's way more than that. So
I think if the quality that it has been putting out so far reflects the rest of the songs that are going to come out for it, I genuinely think this would be like, this could be up there like with their first three.
It could make the holy quadruple.
And we've talked about this. I know at this point I'm not just overly, because with the Humans and the Now I got excited for the Humans because that had been 7 years. I got excited for the Now because Humans was disappointing, and I thought the Now was like an apology letter. So now that I've gone through those and I'm going into this, it's like, I don't know, they've been kind of underwhelming. I don't know what to expect, and just having the total opposite, or I'm like, this is good, and then going back to re-listen to it, I'm like, this is really good. Yeah. And then the next song comes out, and it's better. And then the next song comes out, and it's also, like, really good. I'm going to be honest. Aries at first, I didn't know if I was liking it much. That one I actually might like more than Désolé at this point.
Really?
Or maybe not more than Désolé. Maybe not more than Désolé, more than Momentary Bliss. Just by a little.
Here's the thing: is that like I didn't really know if I liked Momentary Bliss when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember I messaged you and I was like, I think this is good. It's like the last albums were like, here's a couple, everybody.
See, like I always felt bad for like, man, like Jamie Hewlett, he doesn't really seem to be doing much lately.
It just seems like there's so much work and passion and planning going into like every aspect of this so far. Like a really cool, unique concept, like a song a month for a whole year.
There's even like these mini tracks that they're releasing too.
Yeah, all the little like bits of just like them talking and stuff. Like
really
that's great for like lore fans. Like they're people who love the story and lore and the characters didn't really get a lot of that from the last two.
Yeah.
So they're giving us a ton of like character interaction, music videos, artwork. Like, yeah, they're really going all out on all aspects of what makes Gorillaz good for this. And that's why it's exciting, because it feels like he's not making an apology album for a bad album. He's not obligating himself to make...
It's more just like, forget all that before.
It feels like he's just having fun. And especially in the music videos, seeing him like with the artists in each one, like Damon himself, and just it looks like they're all having fun.
Yeah, those are fun. It's like it's behind the scenes footage, but like with Gorillaz there.
And it's really cool. Fun. And I love the feel of this so far. And we were really cautious at first because I was like, I'm not going to get hyped up again just to be like, why was I hyped up for that?
I'm still just very nervous. That's the one thing that I don't really like about this whole process. Just, I mean, not that it's a bad idea, but the nervous thing about it is like what if the next song isn't good?
Yeah, what if we wait a whole month?
What if the next song isn't good?
Yeah, it's like, what if we wait a whole month for a song and then that song is bad and we have to wait another month?
And which so far it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah,
I think the last one that came out, I wasn't as big of a fan of.
The last one is definitely the least like
How Far
favorite. Yeah, that's like my least favorite one so far, but it was kind of weird because Tony Allen sadly passed away and that song was a tribute to him.
Yeah.
And
because he recorded the drums.
And he's just such a good drummer. He drummed for Good Band the Queen, I believe, too. And I don't even know if they were planning to have this be the next song actually, but he had passed away, so they're like, all right, let's release this now. And that's kind of how I saw it. So it was really touching in that regards because I'm pretty sure the preview from Aries for the next song was not for this.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, so this wasn't really planned to be the next one, but I think they were just like, we gotta release this for him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's sweet and cool. And you could tell because they didn't have a whole music video ready for it or anything. Some people don't even know if it's part of Song Machine, actually.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have the like usual Song Machine episode 4 or
because
whatever.
On the thing it just says How Far. It doesn't say episode 4 or anything. So I'm not even sure it's really part of Song Machine actually.
I guess we'll find out.
So it's interesting. But even if it is, I still think it's a good song still. It's still really cleanly produced. That's the thing about the production of these songs is so like just it's so layered, but every piece is so clear, which is a huge issue with. It's an issue with the Now Now. As much as I like some of the songs on there, the production isn't really all that crisp, and Humans is like really messy.
Yeah.
But this one is just like every little sound and instrument, you can just hear everything, and it's so clean and good, and it's layered so well, and it just really seems like they're excited to be doing Gorillaz this time.
Yeah, and I will say also, pretty much, each track that has been released has had a feature on it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't suffer at all.
It's like Plastic Beach levels of features where it's not this artist's song and Damon is just kind of like helping them. It's a Gorillaz song, and Damon scoped out an artist that would be appropriate for this song.
Yeah.
Like, and I like that, and they're very Gorillaz fitting features so far.
Yeah.
Like Slow Tie, he is so perfect for Gorillaz.
Yeah.
And I actually thought he was featured on like a D-side song, but I was totally wrong.
Oh, okay.
It was someone else completely, but for some reason I thought he had been featured with them before, which is just like shows how perfect he is. I was like, yeah, he's worked with them before.
Yeah.
But I was super excited that he made a song with them, and then
what was it? The guy from Slaves on Momentary Bliss.
Slaves was also on Momentary Bliss. That was unexpected.
Well, when he sings,
he sounds like
it
2D.
sounds like 2D. It sounds like Damon Albarn.
Yeah, I remember when I listened to it the first time. I was like, I thought it was, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not.
Well, yeah,
him.
until you watch the music video, you realize, oh, that's not Damon.
Which I'm like, I don't know why, but pictured in my mind, I was like, if he ever needs a successor for someone to take the 2D mantle and be the next 2D, what
Damon's just like, I don't want to sing anymore.
Yeah, hey, do you want to be 2D now? Do you think that would happen? Gorillaz just
know.
goes on forever, and they just keep choosing a new 2D.
It's an interesting concept.
That
I don't know if it really
I've never thought about that.
I don't know if it really has. Like, it does have. Gorillaz has a big following, but I don't know if it's big enough to.
You kind of need Damon's like production style too for Gorillaz, so I don't know. I always wondered if they were.
I mean, you easily could, because they're
like, if he gets old and he's like, I need my grandson to be 2D now.
Although the thing is,
or something.
The thing is, though, is that, and one thing that I like about the whole like virtual band aspect of it is that the band members have been aging.
Yeah.
Like Noodle, she's like
really
a 12-year-old
tall now.
kid when maybe even younger than that.
Yeah.
With the first album, and now she's like a woman.
Yeah. It's like weird, but I like, even in just like cartoon shows, I like when they bothered to like have characters age. Even in the past phases, like she was a little girl in the first phase, and like Plastic Beach, she was like probably like
she's a teenager. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Everyone's been like, even like 2D, like his hair's like been thinning out a bit. Stuff like that.
And you could tell that he's like looking a little aged.
Got some wrinkles.
Yeah, but he's still got that rock star vibe.
Yeah. I
remember when I think it was during like the promotion stage of Humans.
Mm-hmm.
It might have even been like after Hallelujah Money and before any other single was released. There was that like motorbike company. I think it's Jaguar or something.
Yeah,
they came out with an ad, and she's just randomly in it.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "She's old."
Yeah,
what? This is weird.
It's like I don't like this.
Yeah, and she was older, like in Plastic Beach too, but it wasn't like so much different from like Demon Days.
I mean, yeah, because it was like from
she was
Plastic
like,
Beach to
like
Humans,
tall.
it's 7 years.
She grew like 4 feet.
Yeah,
it was like funny, but
yeah,
I remember everyone being like, "What the heck?" But
it's like, she's a woman now, and I don't like that. I don't like how I'm feeling right now.
But yeah, I'm really stoked right now for Song Machine. I'm still like I'm still not letting myself get too hyped, because with every album there's bound to maybe be like a couple, like even like the best Gorillaz albums have a couple songs that's like, all right, not bad.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that one song in Song Machine to come up, and I'm like, whatever. But
I'm so scared.
But so far, like 4 songs, and they've all been like really good.
Yeah.
And arguably easily their best material out of all the, like the first 3 at least, I think are better than like anything from the last 2 albums.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
they're on a really good streak.
They're
right
up
now.
there with like all the greats of self-titled, Demon Days, and Plastic Beach, honestly,
and
in my opinion.
It's such a good blend of all their first 3 albums in a way. Like the first song, like Momentary Bliss, I remember reminded me a lot of their debut. Maybe mixed.
It sounds like
it was like debut
Punk or
and,
M1A1.
Yeah, it was like their debut mixed with Plastic Beach a bit with the weird synthy stuff, and then Désolé was very like Demon Days in a way.
I feel like it's more Plastic.
It was like Demon Days. And
wait, no, because like, it does remind me of like El Mañana. It's got that kind of vibe to it, even though it's a little bit more happier than El Mañana.
Was very Aries kind of stands on its own in a way. It's like pretty Plastic Beach, but the thing about this is I can kind of place them with past albums, but when all these songs come out, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this is like Song Machine has its own thing, it has its own identity.
Yeah.
And so far it has a very strong identity, and even though all the songs have been kind of a lot different from each other, it's doing the thing where they're all different, but when they're grouped together, it's going to be like a cohesive project.
Yeah.
And that's what's been
doing
missing.
the Gorillaz thing.
It's doing the Gorillaz thing, and it's cool. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the whole reason why I wanted to do this episode, because all these singles are just making me so excited about Gorillaz again.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where I was like, I don't even know if I really even like Gorillaz anymore.
I got to the point where I was like, do I even like Demon Days or
well, like I knew
Beach?
I liked their older stuff, but I was like, I don't know if I could include them as like my favorite artists anymore.
Yeah, because it's like
they've been letting me down so much.
It's like, are they going to make more bad than good now?
Yeah.
So.
But now I'm like, I'm ready to fall in love again.
Yeah, exactly. And you and me both were like, I remember we were texting and I was like, oh, here's a preview for it. And we were like, I don't know, could be cool. And I was like, I think this could be cool. I don't know. I'm not. We were like so cautious about it. And I think I texted you and I was like, I actually really like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think my exact words were, I don't think I'm tricking myself this time, but I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was validated when everyone online who has generally the same feels as us of the past couple albums were like, this is their best work.
Yeah.
Fantano is like, I keep bringing him up, who cares, but just as an example, like,
sorry, we don't have our own opinions.
He
They're
didn't
all
really
stolen.
like the last 2. He feels the same way how you do about the Now. He didn't like Humans, and he's like loved all the new songs. Like,
yeah.
They've all been like
4
great.
for 4.
So it's cool to like see the public and online figures being like, oh yeah, they're like back in it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone who's said that they don't like any of the music.
Yeah, even the subreddit like is like, which is full of people who love the past 2 just because they're hardcore Gorillaz fans and they don't think they're allowed to dislike anything they do. But they are like, yeah, this is like their best work in 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, and I remember like when I was first listening to Momentary Bliss, I wasn't so sure about it. But then like after a few listens, I'm just like, it makes me sick. Just think it happens. Like I want to jam along to this.
It's like we were in bad relation. It's like, let me change how I'm wording this. It's like
an abusive relationship.
It's like you were in like a bad relationship with someone who was like bad for you, and then she changed and she comes back for you, and you're like, I don't know. But then it's like, oh, she has changed. You're not manipulating me and being horrible anymore. So it's
great.
It's like we broke up with them for a bit, but we got back together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, and I'm really excited for what's to come, and I hope I'm not let down, but we'll see.
Yeah,
but
I'm excited. I'm still remaining cautious and not letting myself think it's going to be their best work ever.
I think I've gotten myself too hyped.
I'm comfortably excited at this point.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, the first song's good. Let's wait for the second one. Second one was good. Then the third one was good. And then the fourth one wasn't really part of Song Machine, but was still good. So I was like, okay, I'm at a point where I feel comfortable like being excited now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we have one song, but there's like 11 more to go, and now it's like we're almost halfway there, and it's like, and it's all been great. So at this point, even if the rest are bad, it's still at least half.
At least we got a good EP.
It would still be better than Humans because it would still have at least like 40% of the album is like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so far it has more songs that I like than I like on the Now, so that's good.
It's equal. 4 so far, and I loved 4 from the Now. So it's easily
3.
gonna. It's easily, and these I like way more than the songs I liked on the Now. So it's already better.
Yeah. So sorry, we're repeating ourselves, but
repeat stuff. Repeat stuff.
And it feels like I'm falling in again. Feels like I'm falling in again.
that's the Gorillaz. Check them out if you haven't before. Mitchell, it is your turn for a rec, baby.
Oh boy, do I want to?
Recommendation.
What do I want to recommend? Would it be weird to recommend a video game?
No, actually,
we haven't done that.
Thinking about that before. I mean, we've done a video game episode, so why not?
I'm going to recommend Animal Crossing. No. In case you haven't heard of it, everyone and their mom is playing it. I am playing it violently, like obsessed with it. But I'm not going to recommend that because it'd be stupid. I am going to recommend another game. It's actually coming out on the 29th. Next week. I'm very excited. I talked about this game extensively on one of our previous podcasts. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming out on Nintendo Switch next week. Why am I recommending something I haven't played? Because it's a remaster. It's more of a remaster of...
Technically, you've played it.
Yeah, because it's the same game. It's just they changed like the character models. They made it look better. It's on better technology, but it's still the exact same voice acting. They're not changing anything about it other than like visuals and some quality of life.
Yeah.
It's not like Resident Evil 2 where they just completely built it, or like Shadow of the Colossus where they built it from the ground up. It's just, it looks better. It's a remaster. Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii is one of my favorite games of all time. I talked about it a lot on our favorite video games podcast, so you can go there to hear me rant about why I love it so much. But it's coming out next week, so I already know I love it, so it's safe to recommend, but it's just going to be a better version of that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't played it, the game wasn't really easily available when it was on Wii because it was kind of rare, and then they put it on new 3DS, which no one had a new 3DS, and then they put it on the Wii U like as a digital download thing, but no one had a Wii U. So it's on a really popular system now. It's going to be better. If you're into JRPGs, cool stories, whatever, check it out because it would be really awesome to see support for this game because I want to see it do well because the Xenoblade series
Podwood
is really
Forecast
cool.
is going to make this game popular.
Yeah. But yeah, check that out if you're interested or you have seen ads for it and you're like, that looks pretty cool. Like, give it a chance, and there's going to be like extra content, and it'll probably be, improved upon the original because it will be. It just looks better. That's the only difference. So
yeah,
so check that out. I'm really excited to play it. It's a treat, and it deserves to be way more popular than it is, in my opinion. He's in Smash. They put Shulk in Smash, so everyone at least kind of knows who the main character is already. So
it's my favorite.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done being a nerd. I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm passionate for stupid things.
Well, what do you think we should talk about next? Next episode.
I haven't even thought about that. I don't know, man. Do we want to... Should we do another music one? We've done a lot of movies one lately. Maybe we do a couple music things in a row. What if we do like... we could do this
what if we
again at the end of the year. Maybe we do like a mid-year. It's not really the middle of the year yet. It almost is. But maybe we do like a music from 2020 music roundup so far, like what we like that's come out this year.
Yeah.
That could be,
I've also
I
thought
actually have
about-
quite a bit of albums I've listened to this year that I really like.
Yeah, we could. We could also talk about. I always thought it'd be
Because there's like
fun
no
to do an
movies to talk
episode.
about right now, unless we watch like an old one.
Yeah. Well, I've watched a few that have been like put out on VOD.
Yeah.
But maybe sometime we could do an episode of like where we just like take our favorite album and talk about it.
That'd be cool.
But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I
Yeah.
could be down for. It's just that there isn't really a whole lot of music that I've been listening to this year that has been.
Have we done like a top favorite albums thing? I know we did that for games, but what if we did like
We haven't. No.
What if we did a top 5 music albums, each of us?
We could do that.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Top 5 albums, one artist per album kind of thing.
Yeah. The thing is like about doing like a halfway music thing is that I wouldn't really want it to. I wouldn't want to take away from like when we do our like yearly thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a chance that, like, with what's going on in the world, there's not a whole lot that has come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we could do our top 5 favorite albums. For
Yeah.
sure.
We'll wing it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. You all have been very lovely. Thanks for supporting us and everything. And listen to Gorillaz.
Do it.
And have fun. Yeah.
Oh my God. Is that 4 hours?
No. We're pushing 2.5 hours.
Okay, I was like, you're freaking kidding me. Because I just saw that turn to a 4, and I was, it says 54. 154.
Yeah.
I'm so blind. I just saw like a 3 turn to a 4, and I was like, this has not been going on for 4 hours.
Time is really flown
I would be
by.
like, this needs to be 2 parts.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would want that.
God.
Unless...
I don't know why that scared me. I think I was just worried that...
Time has just gone by.
I think I was just worried that I've been sitting here for 4 hours.
I'm losing my mind.
Wow. All right. Y'all have a great day or evening or midnight or afternoon.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Podwood Forecast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like for us to give you a shout out on the show, be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And also feel free to look in the show notes for links to our social media, our Twitter and Facebook. And as always, stay beautiful, and thanks for listening.